Hey everybody, it's your best buddy Basil here. You are here. I am here. We are both here at the pre-show for Canary Cry News Talk. Got a great show today. Apologies about last Friday. There's nothing we could do, but we're glad we're here today. Let's see, who do we got in the chat? We got MSDS over on Rumble. Hello. I am not seeing much other chat. YouTube, where are you at, YouTube? There we go. Antzilla. There you are, Martin, Daniel, Crypto Arwa. Hello. Yeah, Crypto has a good suggestion for everybody. Hit that like button. Hit it right now. It's so helpful when you just do it at the top. You can always take it back. Don't worry. It's not a lifelong commitment. If we say something you don't like, you can take away your like. And that's actually a good way to communicate to us. But I want to thank everybody for being here. One Lousy Petunia, how you going? How you doing? A couple of things to just mention, just so nobody misses out. Today is the absolute last day to receive the Canary Cry t-shirt via executive producing the show. Yeah, it was pretty cool. We got some people taking advantage of that very generous offering from the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. The T-shirt for this quarter is simply incredible, thanks to the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. Their wise and generous offerings of their skills, talents, and insight into creating a Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt every quarter. If you're on the T-Shirt Council, you should have probably received it already. If you haven't yet, it's in the mail. It's coming to you. Everybody loves it. It's the coolest shirt that's ever existed. And we don't make those shirts available for retail or anything because we're not retailers. It's strictly for the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, which you can join. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com. But this one was just so unstoppably perfect that there were some other ways to get the shirt. One of them is executive producing the show. You can go to canarycry.support to go do that now, or check your email or whatever. Or you can join the Canary Cry Babysitters Club by jumping on the supply drop, canarycrysupply.com. But today is the last show to executive produce and get that shirt as a free gift from us and the T-Shirt Council. So check that out. But also, remember, you can go ahead and leave us a pre-show prayer. Yeah, that's right. We need some spiritual producers getting involved here. If you want to leave a pre-show prayer, help set the spiritual atmosphere before the show, get involved. It is a great way to produce the show. It's not just it's not just like a little fun thing to do. It's an important part of producing the show. So everybody at some point during their life should go to canarycrynewstalk.com. Yes, canarycrynewstalk.com. And look for the green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side. Click on that, and you'll have 90 seconds to leave us a pre-show prayer, which is exactly what this producer did now. So we are going to do that and then just get right into the show, everybody. Yeehaw.
Heavenly Abba, look down on Basil and Guns as they attempt to shine light on the darkness and the happenings in the world. Break down any strongholds to your pleasure. It was your pleasure to crush your own son when he became sin for us. And you never change. It's your pleasure now to crush the evil attempts of the wicked one to be higher and more powerful than you. Thy will be done, amen. And the people said, amen.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 31st, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 650. And today, Asian Provocateur. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gons, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, wearing sunglasses today. Live to tape from rainy California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events, even with sunglasses on. And today's immersion phenomenon, the epoch of futurism fulfilled.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
What a phenomenon.
Well, you know, people of this community who have been with us for many years, at least the last decade, we've seen we were talking about the oncoming storm of transhumanism and technocracy and all that stuff. We were early on that. All of us were early.
Too early. Arguably, we are too early. It was actually a failure that we were so early.
So in the last decade plus of our existence here, we've gone from normal, kind of boring science and political headlines from mainstream media to, in the last especially 3 years, like during the Biden presidency and especially the last couple years, we have UFOs, aliens, we got free energy conversations happening in the mainstream, publicly transparent conspiracies and corruption that everyone can see. The PSYOP is sort of transparent. The AI, New World Order, the technocratic, transhuman, scientific dictatorship accelerating big time. So, but all the headlines now, it's all fulfilling all that crazy stuff we were talking about before. Now it's just happening. And so hopefully we can share what we see with all that, and then also look over the horizon as watchmen and see all the even crazier things that might be coming down the pike.
And you miss one show and you lose an opportunity.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Friday, yes.
Friday. It had to be done. Your office was deemed officially a fire hazard. It needs to be totally redone. There's still some work to do. But man, oh man, I had a couple of, hot takes, had a couple of stories, going to dive in, a couple pieces of analysis. And I thought, it's okay. Well, I'll just do it on Monday. Mm-hmm. And boom, over the weekend, all three of my hot takes became like the most important space. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? There's always next show. So I don't know. I don't even know what to do. I just cried about it all weekend. But here we are. We're doing it. It's going to be a good time. And with that, Gons, I think we should give a disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. And what did good boys talk about? Well, let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
We're starting out with some race wars, baby, inside the online world of people who think they can change their race. Oh, you thought you thought we were at the bottom of the slippery slope. No, my friend. There's a long way to slip. Then, of course, we will be catching up on a long-standing analysis of the phenomenon that is the Biden's dogs. If you've been listening for a few years now, you know that our initial analysis and deconstruction of the Biden dog problem has been perhaps the most prophetic thing we've ever said, and certainly it will not stop. So we got an update on the terror that is the Biden dog. We're checking in with FLIPPY. FLIPPY now replacing humans in all sorts of ways, but now replacing us humans in being hot, And no, not like a hot robot. It's like, oh, hot robot. You're gonna love it. Don't worry. Checking in on climate change. The global boiling has begun. Keep an eye out for that term, as well as a couple of other things to keep an eye out. Officials have busted an illegal lab in the U.S. being run by China. Yes, we all knew about the secret police stations, but now we got secret biolabs. So that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to be going on. And then I'll be giving a rundown of a pattern I'm starting to see when it comes to Russia and Africa. Yes, some big Afrofuturism news. We could not pass up the opportunity. And then at the end of the show, of course, a little bit of Days of NOAA. Men are just no longer needed for the continuation of the human race, which, there you go. We'll see what science has to say about that. But first, Gons, let's get into our lead story.
Mind control weapons.
The race wars.
Race wars.
The race war.
I've warned you and warned you and warned you.
We've been warned. We've been warned of a race war. We've been tracking the technocracy seep into culture and how the internet has delivered a mind control device into all of our palms.
Yes, we're creating the sort of worldview, the mindset, the the delusion in so many.
Yeah.
Yes, the milieu that what you are is what you decide to be. Just sort of in general. I'm not even talking about anything specific. Transhumanism includes many other types of transbeingism, and this was an exciting one, Gons.
Exciting for our show, maybe a watershed moment. Finally, we've made. I guess we didn't make it, but we're being considered. This is NBCnews.com. Inside the online world of people who think they can change their race. So let's just dive right into it. Since before she hit double digits, Elisa, 15, said she has felt a special connection with Japan. The high school student who asked to be anonymous for fear of being doxxed online was born in Ukraine.
Perfect.
And lives in Maryland. But she now goes by the Japanese name Miyuki and listens to, quote, subliminals that promise she will wake up and be Japanese.
Wow. It sounds like me, Gons. I've never wanted anything more than to be as cool as my Japanese co-host. I go to bed at night listening to your voice, hoping that I will wake up with the wisdom and the experience of a true Japanese man.
I didn't know
Ohayou gozaimasu.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought because, of course, I had a friend who was growing up, blonde hair, European descent, and he was like, "Man, I love your black hair. I want black hair. I want jet black hair." And I was always like, "Really? That's weird, because I want blonde hair. It'd be really cool if my hair was blonde." And so I don't know, maybe it's just we just don't like what we are. We go through some moments, especially when we're young, when we're coming into our own. But hey, that's one thing.
We can trade.
It's a whole nother thing. I don't know about that. Your recent health situation, your host body is not preferred.
It could have been better.
Yeah. So far, back to the article. She believes that by listening to YouTube videos with lo-fi music and photos of East Asian facial features while she sleeps, her vision has cleared, her eyelids have become smaller, and her hair is just a bit darker. Yeah. YouTube videos
we
do
all
that
know
now.
this.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Especially the younger people now, they are awakened to the real secret. We had the secret when we were younger, Gons, but now there's the real secret, which is YouTube can turn you into just whatever you want.
Practitioners of what they call, quote, race change to another, or RCTA, purport to be able to manifest physical changes in their appearance and even their genetics to become a different race. Wow. They tune into subliminal videos.
This is NBC.
NBC,
by the way,
yeah. I was telling Basil before we went live today, this is one of the crazier articles I've ever read on a mainstream outlet. So, and maybe it's because I'm Asian. I have no idea, but it's just wild, man. Okay. Right. They tune into subliminal videos that claim can give them an, quote, East Asian appearance or, quote, Korean DNA. Korean DNA, yeah, okay. Already racist, this article, because first they want to be Japanese, then it's Korean. It's like, come on.
They're all the same to you, aren't they, NBC?
But experts underscore that it is simply impossible to change your race.
What?
Oh, mainstream media drawing lines. Quote, it's just belief, said Jamie Cohen, an assistant professor of cultural and media studies at Queens College City University of New York. Quote, it doesn't ever really work because it's not doing anything. But they have convinced themselves that it works because there's other people who have convinced themselves as well. End quote.
Huh. Pretty poignant quote there from the expert, Jamie Cohen, assistant professor of cultural and media studies at Queens College. I will say, not a biologist, so I think he's speaking a little bit outside of his expertise, but okay. Look, there have been those who have claimed that we are on some sort of slippery slope when it comes to postmodernism, cultural constructs, things like this. Nowadays, pretty much, depending on what podcasts you're listening to and what YouTube channels you're watching, you might become under the impression that pretty much anything about you is changeable and being thrust upon you at birth. These pesky things like your race being decided for you at birth is simply sort of a product of an oppressive patriarchal culture. This quote here from Jamie Cohen, again, not a biologist, seems to be pretty applicable in lots of different ways. Right. Quote, it doesn't ever really work because it's not doing anything. But they have convinced themselves that it works because there's other people who have convinced themselves as well. If there's not a more condensed way to explain our entire world right now, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say that it can apply to anything that's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So it's really... it's saying a lot, but it's also not saying anything at all in its own way.
Right. Yeah.
Good which way is to get exactly where we are, actually.
Good way to get your quote on NBC, though.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on here. Let's continue with the madness. Though they do not constitute a full-blown trend, not yet anyway. Oh boy, can you imagine that world where I don't know. 40%. No, that's too high.
Careful.
15% of the European descent in America are like, I want to be Asian. Shut my eyes.
No joke. Wait a month. And
a month. You're calling it in a month.
I mean, it'll just. I don't see this going away. I see this.
I don't see it going away, but I don't know about 15. 15% is pretty high. That's. I said 40 first. Now that would be a wild world.
Tell us more. Tell us more about
this. Though they do not constitute a full-blown trend, a number of racial subliminal creators have popped up on YouTube in recent years with videos racking up on average over 500,000 views apiece. On TikTok, dozens of accounts have emerged in recent weeks, sharing similar goals and aesthetics and documenting what people describe as their race change journeys.
Race change journeys.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just on a journey, man. Let's go on this journey with them. We must let people go on the journey to become Asian.
Yeah, well, apparently we score better on tests. You know, one thing that I think that has caused some of this culturally is, of course, the advent of the computer, but more specifically, the advent of editing. Just the idea that you can edit a document. Nowadays, we don't even think twice about we wrote this thing, we just gotta, we gotta fix the grammar, whatever, the spelling. But up until computers, that was a lot harder to do. If you have your scribe or something.
Editing yourself.
Editing anything. Now, yeah, with the visual medium, with the computer, we can edit photos, we can edit video, we can edit. And so, of course, a generation born into it is going to be like, oh, yeah, you just edit. We just need to edit ourselves. We just change races.
Character creation.
Yeah.
It's video game avatars.
Yes.
I'm talking about it for a while.
Media experts also point to the potential dark side of the exoticization of Asian culture. saying it could be a form of modern yellowface or the act of non-Asian peoples making their appearance more Asian-like. Korean-American poet Margaret Rhee, an assistant professor of media studies at the New School in New York, said the RCTA phenomenon reflects the current media climate in which East Asian media enjoys widespread popularity internationally and in the U.S. Yeah, it's K-pop.
Again,
K-pop going big.
Pretty impressive parallels with some other ways
things,
people are.
Yeah. Quote, there's also the underbelly of that where we want to be careful, she said. Quote, because there's always problems around fetishization or objectification that East Asian cultures have always been subjected to, meaning being revered for these kinds of exotic characteristics and but not really fully seen. Okay. Race as a construct. Experts agree race is not genetic.
Okay.
But they contend that even though race is a cultural construct, it is impossible to change your race because of the systemic inequalities inherent to being born into a certain race.
Okay. So they're saying they're agreeing that race is a cultural construct.
Right.
Race is put upon you by the culture when you are born and is not sort of objective. But they are also saying it's impossible to change your race because of systemic inequalities inherent to being born into a certain race.
It's self-refuting.
Aren't there systemic inequalities, perhaps, between other things?
Economics.
There's so many. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to start, and I don't really have any specific point to make. But some sort of, I've heard recently some sort of systemic inequalities in like gender and patriarchy and things like that.
Oh yeah, of
and
course.
You would think that being born, having some sort of being on one side or the other of a systemic inequality would make it sort of problematic to try to jump back and forth. But race is a construct, and everybody just stay in your lane, apparently, says NBC.
It doesn't make sense because let's say a white man, a white baby, found himself or herself in Africa in a black culture. Okay, so is that baby black now? They're saying no because genetically, but that baby, even though culturally is black, cannot be black.
By their logic, like the answer is yes. Like by their logic,
the cultural construct, the cultural construct logic, yes, this baby is black, but he can never really be black because he's white. But that's all contextual to where you're born, the culture you're in. Because if you're in an African community and you're a white baby, you're probably a minority, so you're probably going to be treated differently than a black baby in a total white. So whatever, like these things are completely ridiculous to even parse out. But anyway, this is the mainstream media having a moment of schizophrenia or something, like psychosis, trying to justify really opposing things and really trying to balance the two. David Freund, a historian of race and politics and an associate professor at the University of Maryland College Park, corroborates the idea that a, quote, biological race does not exist. What we know today as race is a combination of inherited characteristics and cultural traditions passed down through generations, he said. In addition, Freund said the modern concept of race...
Real quick.
Yeah.
They're saying is not biological. I don't know what inherited characteristics are if not biological.
If not biological.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They keep refuting themselves. They say one thing and then they just refute it. In addition, Freund said the modern concept of race is inseparable from systemic racial hierarchies hundreds of years in the making. Simply put, changing races is not possible because, quote, biological races themselves are not real.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. Why not just let the kids become Asian, man? What's their problem? Just let these kids fall asleep listening to Asian or formerly white Asian people and just let them do their thing. But these are the same people who are, wearing cat ears and things, I think. I don't. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Okay. So they
I
start
mean,
talking
to
about.
let them be a cat, man. Come on, they can be a cat or they can be Asian. You pick? Which one you want to be? You want to be an Asian cat? Watch my video. I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you mix the race and the species. That's the next level.
Uh-huh.
That's the next level.
Why
You
not,
can
baby?
get ahead of it. Yeah. Freund
Slippery
added that
slope.
the idea of changing one's race operates differently depending on a person's racial background, and that white people who seek to transition to other races can often sidestep the harms of racism. Okay. Kevin Nadal, a professor of psychology at City University of New York, said, quote, "There is a privilege in being able to change your race or to say that you're changing your race. There are many people who would be unable to ever change their race, particularly black people in this country would be unable to
Why?
say all of a sudden, I'm white, and be treated with
That's
the same
racist.
privileges that white people have," end quote.
I'm kind of missing a connection here, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm a white man. I don't need the connection, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just an ally.
Okay. They talk about some people throughout history who have passed as white and things of that nature. Tick
Well,
Milan.
I think that was actually a big part of it.
Okay,
Because
we can read it. Yeah.
they do make the point that in earlier American history, there's things like the paper bag test or, some not great areas of American history where there was like an attempt to pass as white. Like there's a big benefit to passing as white. And being able to pass, which I think it's just notable that passing is also a relevant term in, again, other versions of changing who you are. It's kind of a big part of history, which is people trying very specifically to pass as white. Even as recent as World War II, things like this. Yeah. And again, it only becomes a problem when white people want to change their race.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I get it. I'm not saying I don't get it. Like, I get it. But come on, man. Let the kids be Asian. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, there's always the dynamic of the majority epidermal shade in any given nation being sort of setting the standards. So it's just kind of a natural thing. So as you said, there's not much there, but it does mention RCTA and transracialism. Transracialism, folks, not transgenderism, not transhumanism, transracialism. It's just like another link in the chain, which came to the forefront because of controversial figures like Rachel Dolezal have been compared to being transgender. Yeah. However, psychologists and activists push back against comparisons. Tick Milan.
Real quick, for those who don't know, Rachel Dolezal was I believe she was the, let me just read from this Wikipedia, is an American, sorry, there's so many weird things. Rachel Dolezal is an American former college instructor and activist known for presenting herself as a black woman despite being white. In addition to claiming black ancestry, she also claimed Native American descent. She is also a former National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, chapter president. This was a big hullabaloo a few years back. But there's, other notable politicians and public figures who have tried to make similar claims.
Yep. Let's skip down here a little bit because it is a little bit of a longer article.
Sure.
But we can kind of get into some of the delivery mechanisms here.
Real quick, just because I do want to read this one spot we're about to pass up.
Okay.
Tick Milan, a black transgender activist and writer, said it is a disservice to transgender people to compare the two. Race historically emerged as a social construct to establish a racial hierarchy and the white race at the top, whereas variances in gender identity have existed for thousands of years. So the idea that racism as an extant construct, the claim here, and it's made a couple times in the article, that racism has only existed for a couple hundred years, AKA like America.
Right.
America invented it. It didn't exist before America did it. Whereas gender identity, that's an ancient human characteristic. I think is just kind of interesting, where you kind of need to put your, stake your tent in the ground as far as, I don't know, just sort of objective reality in order to make your point.
Which trans do you want? You want transgender? You want trans race? What do you want?
Here's some fun quotes that go along with that. When it comes to who we are as racialized people, it is how we present to the world. But it's also how people treat you, Milan said. Quote, it's not just putting on the hair and the makeup and talking and walking a kind of way.
Like Hillary Clinton at black rallies, yeah.
That's fetishizing.
Oh.
And it's objectifying.
Oh, no.
Objectifying. And it reduces the beautiful and complicated cultures of people of color. It's weird. I feel like this conversation about the transracialization is going to cause so much friction in the logic of other topics that the whole jalopy might shake apart. They start, as they're trying to do, make a substantial sort of line in the sand between transgenderism and transracialism. And you read this quote, and for pretty much the whole thing, it almost sounds like they're talking about transgenderism. Quote, it's not just putting on the hair and the makeup and talking and walking in a kind of way. That's fetishizing. They kind of just described drag. They just kind of literally just described drag and said it was fetishizing and objectifying and reducing the beautiful and complicated cultures of the world. This seems like one of these things that will either completely disappear, we'll never hear about it again, or it will become such a sort of continent-shaking sort of seismic divide when it comes down to it, in the transhuman idea. Well, so remember, all these things are underneath the transhuman umbrella.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of what I was going to say, and truly, it's sort of like the divide and conquer methodology in full effect. I don't think we can handle it as like just an individual. I think doing the show, Basil, we've proven, as just you and I, normal guys, it's impossible to keep up with everything, and the amount of divisions taking place now, different groups. It was right, left. Yeah. Now it's transgender, and then that, and then. Truly, it becomes crazy in terms of divide and conquer, because everyone's going to have a team. Everyone's going to have, and what kind of equity can they use in the new digital world to actually make a difference? And that's something I won't go down that rabbit trail today, but it's a big topic that I've been looking at.
Well, the point you're making is very important, and I think it's very important for anybody to have the context about what we're talking about here. Yeah. We're not talking about this to get embroiled in some sort of culture war, take a stand, die on a hill. That's not what this is about. What you should be, there's a lot of opportunities to do that for anybody looking at this, but more than anything, remember, the culture war is manufactured just like any other war. Name any other war, and if you're paying attention, it was manufactured by somebody to benefit somebody, usually them. And the culture war is no different. So who is sort of benefiting from the further division of really in these young transhumans? They're transhumanists at their core, but it's sort of a split within the transhuman idea. And that's kind of what to take away from this is this is sort of another move in the chess game of whatever step towards universal transhumanism.
Right. It's deconstructing the human being at every level, race, religion.
And you need activists. Yeah. I think the next step in this thing is to get some serious transracial activists going.
Yeah.
It may not be like soon. It could be like in the next 5 years, maybe. Some very serious transracial activism going on, because what they need is to unify the transhuman sort of block. And if you're going to do transgenderism, you have to allow all sorts of other transes, because that's what the transhuman ethos sort of demands.
Right.
And those changes don't happen easily, and they don't happen slowly. They happen with activated agents who become activists and really make the point that, hey, if you are not in support of this version of transhumanism, you're a right-wing extremist, sort of MAGA terrorist type of person.
Right. And transhumanism has been a topic that we hit on since day one. And for anybody who's new to the show, that's 11, 12 years ago now. And let's meet one of these transhumanists in this article. I know we're going a little long here, but
my generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation that's going to die.
Transhumans, that's what Jared Kushner said about them. But here, the article profiles this young lady named Elisa. And we mentioned her earlier. Elisa goes through here and, posting, getting threats online, death threats even for doing what she did. Then it gets into the subliminals here. Subliminals, which are audio files or videos intended to evoke certain outcomes, such as growing taller or achieving good grades, exploded in popularity during the pandemic, Cohen said. They emerged as part of a larger trend in which people hope to manifest changes and bend reality to achieve certain goals, similar to meditation, he said. And this is like, the meditation thing got really popular in the last decade, but this is like the next level, where Carl Teichreb's reenchantment, the society becoming reenchantment, reenchanticized or whatever.
Reenchanted.
Yeah. Reenchanted. So if you think about these young people going through some level of trying to figure themselves out, or identity and all those issues, especially difficult in this landscape where we are today, and they have this hope to bend reality somehow with YouTube videos. I mean, it's pretty wild.
It's this self-hypnosis idea.
Yeah.
It's this, it's all kind of wrapped up in the transhumanism, but there's, other bits of the transhuman umbrella that have been covered more specifically on other shows. I'm not going to get deeply into it now, but this idea that you can, usually through videos, through content that somebody creates, you can hypnotize yourself into becoming something else.
Well, not just
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was going to say that it's not just like you think you're something. Subliminals often feature soothing visuals and ambient music, and they purportedly include subconscious messages and affirmations that rewire a person's neural pathway or DNA or both. So that's really where the pitch is. It's not just listen to this and maybe no, it's actually going to change your neural pathways, which scientifically it's been fairly well established now that neural pathways can be changed and new ones can be created and all that kind of stuff. DNA, a little more intervention necessary probably to have the kind of effects that you're looking for, but
seems to be that way.
Yeah, but that's maybe part of what CRISPR can do, and Scribe Therapeutics over there. Maybe they can come up with maybe some rogue biohackers, some transracial biohackers will come out with a product built on top of Scribe Therapeutics that can change people's, actually go from the DNA level, but then they'll fail, you got to watch the subliminals and take the Scribe shot or whatever it'll be. Aaliyah, another 14-year-old, has similar types of hopes there. And this is her quote about the whole thing. Quote, "It starts with a spiritual, mental thing, and then it's your choice to change if you want to change yourself physically," Aaliyah said, end quote. So I think that's sort of the nail in the coffin as far as the story goes. A big part of it, understanding these young people, understanding that it's a spiritual thing first. They mentioned a TikTok video that has 233,000 views, which of course, 33 we know is some kind of occult signaling going on.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
And then later, Aaliyah said that growing up, she was mocked for being Egyptian. Quote, "I've had many people call me fiery, or that I get angry quickly because I'm Middle Eastern. It might have been the reason why I transitioned," And again,
Whoa.
to your point, Basil, this language is specifically reserved for transgenderism right now,
Right.
not transracialism. But now people are going to have to be clear. Oh, I transitioned. Oh, what do you mean you transitioned? I just, I'm black now.
I used to be Egyptian. Now I'm Japanese. What's the big deal?
For white Americans, racial trauma can take the form of being ashamed for engaging in racism. I'm sure you've had that, Basil. Having failed to stop others from engaging in racism, or not having lived up to a non-racist ideal, said Naomi Torres Mackey, a psychologist at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York. The racial guilt is what she calls, quote, white shame, and it could lead white people to want to escape from the guilt through RCTA or transracialism. Basil, we're going to have a whole team, just white shame watch. Basil, white shame watch. I don't want you falling into this rut here where you feel like you have to become me, basically.
Doesn't it sound so it's such a parallel though? Like I was getting so much shame. Right. People thought I was bad because I was white or whatever. Although it sounds like this person was Egyptian, but kind of, I don't know, maybe it was passing as white or something. Yeah. And it's that shame and that disapproval of how you were born that kind of pushed you to become something else. I mean, we kind of see it with white men. There's this the crisis of younger white men kind of not understanding who they are, what their role is, whatever, and seems to be sort of coinciding again with the transgender issue, with which has its own sort of subliminal content, and it's just very interesting.
Yeah, a couple more things here, and then we'll move on. It mentions how a majority of the people who want to do this want to be East Asian specifically, which makes me think maybe this is like a Chinese, kind of psyop in the West or something like that. There's a YouTube channel, Misu, M-I-S-U, which has gotten over 30,000 subscribers and nearly 6 million views, was one of the largest subliminals creators catering to the East Asian hopeful crowd. I like that. The East Asian hopeful crowd. That's I want to start a group just to cater to the East Asian hopeful crowd.
Yeah, this is your time.
This is my day has come finally. Just get me in front of those. There's all kinds of other weird stuff in here. Again, one of the craziest articles I've read. However, concerns about the problematic implications of changing their race seem to have fallen largely to stubborn ears. Addressing the criticism of racism, Elisa said, "Those who practice RCTA are not harming anyone." Quote, "We only live once, so I think we should do everything we want to do in life, even if others think it's not okay, or you can't achieve it." End quote. Sounds pretty privileged to me there. But there you go. This is your online people who think they can change their race. And
yeah, this will be very interesting. I mean, this is very interesting to see how this is going to play out in the culture war. But one thing you can guarantee is that it's everything is going according to plan.
Oh,
the questioning of reality in all of its forms. And yeah, if you can change so many drastic things about yourself, why not change your race? Yeah, they'll get a little bit of pushback for a while. We saw it with so many other social justice movements, the ones that had their time in sort of the spotlight don't like it when other social movements come in and are kind of compared and ride in on their coattails as far as acceptance goes.
I can't wait for politicians to do this. This is going to be so much fun. There's one thing with Nancy Pelosi where she had the African garb on and they're kneeling and they're doing that whole thing. But man, like a Trump turning Chinese or something, or Biden, man, I want to live to see those days.
Yeah. Well, there was
I'm Chinese now.
What's her name?
Chinese are great.
What's the name that Trump called Pocahontas? Who was that?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
She's the prime she's pre-transracial.
That's what I'm saying. She
laid the groundwork. Pioneer.
She walked so Misuki could run.
Oh, this is great. I can't wait. This is fantastic. The takeover, my great plan is coming into fruition. It's perfect.
the great Japanese
That's the big conspiracy. Yeah, the long play.
The long con.
Why was I brought here to America? I don't know. It's some generational plan. I don't know. All right.
Well, I think it's possible that perhaps Biden's dog is someone who experienced trans speciesism.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Stink minority.
Got hairy legs. Hairy. Got hairy legs. Hairy.
COVID. They all want to share their death.
You know, I should have remembered beforehand. I'm pretty sure we have a Biden's dog jingle
looked
specifically.
For it. I tried to find it. Yeah, it must have not have been labeled properly or something because I didn't find anything. But I can keep looking here. I'll continue to look while you do this.
So we've previously had an obsession with the Biden's dogs ever since he got in the White House. The Biden dog saga has gripped the nation, and it was really fascinating to us because it seemed to precede different, chapters in the Biden presidency. Early in his presidency, there was problems with both of the dogs, but specifically, I think Commander, Commander, who replaced Major.
Major passed away, right?
Major passed away, right. And that was all part of the saga, and Commander came in, started attacking people. Well, this is fun. The Biden dog saga had gripped the nation once again over the weekend. I'm going to take this from judicialwatch.org because it's where it all came from. The headline is Biden Dog Terrorizes Secret Service. That headline brings me back to like 2020. It's like a time warp.
I think 2021 was.
You think that was the first one?
Yeah.
But it says here in April 2022, we, being Judicial Watch, released records detailing multiple attacks on Secret Service members by President Biden's dog, Major, at both. Again with Major's replacement, Commander. Yeah, right. The one that passed was also a rowdy boy attacking people as well. We received 194 pages of records from 194 pages about dog bites from the Department of Homeland. I love that it came from the Department of Homeland Security. The Biden's dog is
it's like a folder in the
file.
File.
It has its own file at the Department of Homeland Security, revealing 10 attacks by President Joe Biden's German Shepherd, Commander, on officers and agents of the Secret Service between October 2022 and January 2023. 3 months. This dog attacked
one every 10 days or something.
It's absolutely ludicrous. And I won't go into too many of the details, but they do brag a little bit here. We forced the release of the records through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed after the Secret Service failed to respond adequately to a December 2022 request for records related to incidents of aggression and bites involving the family dog Commander. Judicial Watch filed the request after receiving a tip about the dog's behavior. So the reason why that's important is it kind of implicates the Secret Service in a cover-up about the dog. The Secret Service was like kind of doing like a light cover-up
on the. It makes sense though, like
the bloodbath of Commander.
This is exactly what the Secret Service and the U.S. government. This is what they do. They're professional liars at that level. The professional cover-uppers, so it's of course they're like, we got to roll out the template for Commander now. After, oh man, this is hilarious.
This dog attacked 10 people in 3 months last year and this year. They do specifically say, we didn't get any files on recent attacks. Like this could be happening. It could be happening still. It could be happening every day. Because there was a point there where they sent Commander up to the farm. He wasn't allowed to be at the White House. But I guess he's back. And the article's fun. There's lots of quotes, lots of emails, lots of stuff. And it's really this sort of chronicling of Secret Service agents just repeatedly being attacked by this dog, and they know what's going to happen too. There's stories about I was walking alone in the hallway and then I saw the dog. Commander was on the other side of the hallway, so I immediately grabbed a chair and threw the chair, tried to protect myself, ran. The dog is just bloodthirsty to some sort of degree. Now, the thing we always loved about this is because at the first time that this spree of dog bites on Secret Service was kind of happening around the protests, the George Floyd protests. And we kind of, I don't know, received it as like messaging about Biden sort of losing control of the left, losing control of the younger Democrats who had gotten him elected, and they were expecting things of his presidency, but then they were lashing out because of whatever, poor training, I guess, or whatever. And so when it came up again, it's a little bit of like a, I don't know, a little alarm bell.
Yeah, another signal.
A little signaling, a little alarm bell. Something ain't right. And, lots of things haven't been going well for the Biden family recently. The Hunter thing continues. The connections to Chinese energy and Ukrainian energy companies continue to inch closer and closer to Biden himself. He's kind of perhaps losing control of his grip on the deep state or something. I don't know exactly what this.
Somebody needs to just start playing transracial subliminals in Joe's ear, and he can just become dog or Asian dog. Maybe he could become a Shiba Inu. Yeah.
Maybe Commander isn't really a dog. Maybe Commander is the secret identity of Hunter Biden. When nobody's around, he puts on his dog costume and he kind of runs around and takes out his aggression on the Secret Service agents.
Well, especially there's that guy in Japan
cocaine's a heck of a drug. Okay? Lots of people will do funny things when they take cocaine or crack or something. Dressing up in a dog outfit and attacking Secret Service agents is not the craziest thing.
Well, especially since just because you brought it up, I'm going to mention it, and it's just a mention. A couple days ago, Business Insider had the headline, Japanese man pays nearly $16,000 for life-size dog costume to fulfill his dream of transforming into an animal. And
I saw this.
I gotta tell you, this is one of the better costumes. I mean, from afar, you can't tell that this is a human.
It's true.
So
it's pretty impressive.
Your theory, but the timing of it all. The timing. I'm having one of those moments, Basil. You just mentioned the whole.
It's all coming together.
The whole, because the whole Joe Biden thing came out. This story with Judicial Watch, July 28th. This Japanese man in a dog suit, July 31st. There you go. Maybe they're signaling something like, hey,
there's something going
on in the, or Commander's like a Chinese spy or something like that, where
it's a honeypot.
He's like a man in a dog suit,
Yeah, canine honeypot. He's getting the information. He's thinning out the striking fear into the Secret Service, so they'll be more hesitant to, I don't know, come to the aid of the president or something. I don't know. Just spitballing here.
Plus, it's a Japanese man, so the East Asia man. It's all coming together, Basil.
All coming together, Gons. Well, with that, I think it's time we thank everybody for being here on a Monday.
Is it Monday? It feels not like
Gary,
Monday.
what day is it? Monday?
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday?
It's Monday. And it's weird. We missed last Friday's show. Thank you, everybody, for your grace and patience with us there. It feels like maybe Friday now, which is not a good way to feel on a Monday. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But we got some wonderful news since last episode. The most important news that we received was that Malaya has been found. And as far as I can get confirmed, has been returned. We are so very happy, so very grateful to all the producers and the producers and people who helped share the information, share the flyer, and pray more than anything. Yes, our producer's daughter has been found and returned. I don't have a
hallelujah.
Sorry.
a lot of details to share, but there's a lot of jubilation, a lot of excitement. And so we're very happy to be able to announce that. I did send that out in Friday's email, but if you don't get those emails, which many of you don't, every email I send out, 20% of them make it to inboxes, and the other 80% go into spam folders. So if you haven't been getting the emails, go in your spam folder and find the emails from us. Yes, either move to inbox or star it or whitelist us or something. But yes, we had got a message from our producer, Christine, who is the mother of the missing child, that says here, she was found. She is safe now. Thanks so much for spreading the word. I really love and appreciate our Canary family, and I want to especially acknowledge Jade Bouncerson, as well as Gons and Basil. We know she wouldn't have made it out of this without the prayers of the saints and the Most High Yahuwah. We sincerely appreciate the support from all of this community. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Yeah,
thank you.
Amen. So
that's awesome.
Thank you all.
Great news. Yeah.
Indeed. Some more good news. The new chickens started laying, baby.
Oh, here we go.
I got some cute little eggs, some little baby eggs. I heard some celebration from the chicken coop yesterday. Yep. These hens are a laying. And also a very strange thing is the rooster, who's a silky. He's just a ludicrous looking animal. I woke up at about 4 this morning to the rooster popping off. Mm-hmm. And this rooster has somehow learned to crow from listening to coyotes. This rooster's crow sounds exactly like a yelping coyote who has just killed a chicken. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe you my chickens. No, I have confirmed it. This rooster learned how to crow sounding exactly like a coyote. It is.
I think you have a coyote in a rooster suit in your backyard.
I was thinking the same thing. I think I have a coyote dressed up as a rooster.
Yeah.
Just biding his time, just waiting.
Yeah.
But yes, the good news is the eggs are back in production, baby. Been a couple months, but that's nice. And last but not least, the good news, Guns, I finally put up some foam on the windows. And so the office stays much cooler, still very hot, but much cooler. And I suggest you do the same.
Yeah, foam. That'd be good.
Foam.
Is it flammable? If it's flammable,
reflective. No, it's reflective foam from Home Depot. Stuck that stuff into a bunch of the windows, and it's completely changed my life. So there's a tip from me to you, everybody, during this global boiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, good. I have a dad joke. You're cutting out a lot now. That's not good.
I know. Yeah, you just cut out for me too. I don't know what you said, but we're both cutting out.
I said we have a dad. I said I have a dad joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you don't cut out while telling me.
Do you know who Klaus Schwab is married to?
No.
His wife.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, Gons. Was this a Gons original?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
His wife.
His wife.
He's married to his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good.
That's good. That's very
really
tailored
good.
For the current milieu of young people waking up to the truth. I got one more for you.
Okay.
Did you hear about the people who bought out Cheerios?
Nope.
Neither did I, but I heard they're changing their name to Soros.
That's good. I feel like maybe you can workshop that one just a little bit, like the setup. Could
sure.
Have a little something.
I'm all ears. Give me
something like. Do you know Cheerios? They're getting political.
They're getting
political.
Uh-huh.
They want to They I don't know, bring down Western society. They've even changed their name to Soros. I don't know, something like that.
I was trying to think of like sore muscles too, like kind of do a double play, but it didn't really turn out, I do spend moments thinking about this stuff. It's not just thrown together on a whim, just so everybody knows. You're going to hurt my feelings if you don't think it's funny, which is okay because they're not meant to be funny. They're meant to be dad jokes.
The funniest thing in the world. It's so funny. So funny. It paralyzes me into sort of catatonic state, which I think is what dad jokes are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, with that, let's thank some executive producers, baby.
Executive producers.
Yeah, we're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money, cartel money, commie money, none of that. We are entirely funded by people who get value from the show. It's a simple transaction and is totally voluntary. Isn't that nice? The fact of the matter is that if we were taking any money from any corporation or any organization other than the people who directly receive value, we would not be able to do this show. It just would not be allowed to be done. And yes, perhaps we could find some people to advertise on the show. But the problem is advertisements, not just that it sort of takes up time, but it is also just a concept we're not very comfortable with because advertising is explicitly us selling your attention for the purposes of a third party, which is just like not great. I don't know. When you sit, I think maybe we just sat and thought about it for too long. And the idea of, you guys giving us your attention and your trust and us turning around and selling it to a company for our personal gain and their personal gain did not sound like a very cool way to do it. So instead, we're on the value for value model, which is simple. We create as much value as we can. We give it to you for free. And if you get value, you have the opportunity to put some value back in. And it's with the understanding that value must go back into the system. That is how it will survive. That is how we exist. And if value stops working, and you can produce the show, because that's what it's called, producing the show, with your time, your talent, or your treasure. It's not just all about money. You can get involved with a bunch of our stuff. We got so many irons in the fire, and it takes producers like you to help keep them going. You can give us art. You can create things for the show. These are all ways that you can get involved with the value for value model and participate in that paradigm changing system, especially for content that should not be allowed to exist, like this show. So there you go. So the producers who come in generously with $100 or more per episode, we call them executive producers, and we want to thank them now. And here's the thing. Today is the very last day. This is the last show, last day of July, where all executive producers in the month of July are receiving the Canary Cry T-shirt, the Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt, which is just absolutely bonkers cool. The Canary Cry T-shirt council members have received theirs in the mail, and we have gotten nothing but praise about the quality and the awesomeness of that shirt. And so we, with the blessing of the T-shirt Council, made it available in a couple different ways. And executive producing the show during July is a great way to do that. So there's still time technically. You could go to canarycry.support, become an executive producer, and we'll put you on the list. But I don't know what it was, but the executive producers came in. Maybe it was the shirt, maybe it was the, catching up for the rest of the month. But really, the executive producers I'm about to name saved us this month. It was a huge blessing. So thank you very much. We got a nice collection, Gons. Are you ready to start?
With just the executive producers. Yeah, real quick.
The execs.
Just want to I noticed, and of course, we've examined the T-shirt design here quite a bit over the many months. But there's a little robot hand that's holding a Bitcoin.
Yes.
And I think that just that alone is so prophetic. I think we haven't even seen the full effect of what that is yet. So,
the
anyway.
whole shirt.
The whole
which was
shirt,
done
of course.
by Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas, created this graphic for us long ago and decided to put on as one of the options for the shirt this quarter. I mean, this whole thing is prophetic. You've got, of course, the Illuminati pyramid behind us. You've got a DNA spiral going up with some cash money on the pyramid. You've got a canary breaking out of the cage. Of course, you've got Basil and Gauntz there standing triumphantly amongst it all. But you've got a raptor with laser eyes.
Yeah.
You've got a robot holding Bitcoin. You've got a cat. I mean, what else do you want? You got the propaganda rooster makes an appearance, an army of Spot the robot dogs, and a giant UFO.
Oh,
I mean,
Antarctica. Don't forget Antarctica in the bottom left there.
That's right. Antarctica is also on the shirt. So it's an excellent way to start a conversation with somebody about the show.
Okay, sorry. about that.
So
Just
here we
wanted
go.
to mention. Yep.
I'm going to thank this executive producer, and this is executive producer Dame Maureen, Lady of the Appalachian Hills, House of the Fountain of Living Water.
Dame
Thank you, Dame
Maureen.
Maureen.
Thank you very
Dame
much.
Maureen came in with 133.33.
133, which makes you Illuminatus.
Illuminatus.
Where's my 33? There you are.
Where is it?
Illuminatus!
There we go.
There we go. And short note here from Dame Maureen. God bless you as you persevere through the July heat storm. Thanks for keeping us all informed in these last days. Thank you very much. Executive producer Dame Maureen.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Dame Marine.
Next up, we've got executive producer Hannah G in the house.
Gee, thank you.
Thank you very much, executive producer Hannah G. If any of you are waiting to be knighted and damed, we apologize. We realize we have a little bit of a list we need to hit, and it seems like Hannah G should be on that list. But executive producer Hannah G comes in with a nice round number, which means we do not disclose it. If you don't mind us disclosing the number, make it, put a funky thing in there, like 33 cents, 77 cents. Make some sort of funky number that will tell us that it's fun thing to share. But executive producer Hannah G has a short note that says, I haven't been able to give much this year. Times are hard, but here's a little something. Love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Love you back, Hannah G. And we totally get it. We are completely astounded that this show can continue to live, that the global planetary economic schemes that are oppressing anybody who's not reptilian truly it seeks to what's the word? I don't know. Take away destabilize, but take away the power of especially people trying to keep podcasts going. So we totally understand. We cherish not just the treasure that you do send, but even just the concept that you value the show and you want to keep it going. So thank you very much, executive producer Hannah G.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Hannah G.
Next up, we've got executive producer Kevin M.
Kevin M. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have the roundtable open?
It's not open, but it's here.
Okay.
Yes,
Will you open and take a look and see if Kevin's on there? Executive producer Kevin M came in a couple of times, actually. He executive produced the show that would have been on Friday, and then this one.
No Kevin M on the list.
Thank you very much, Kevin M.
Oh, you're cutting
And I
out.
did not.
There's no Kevin M on the
okay.
roundtable list.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, executive producer Kevin M. I did not see a note or anything, just a silent and noble executive producer, Kevin M. Thank you very much.
Where'd you find this?
Woo! Thank you, Kevin M.
Next up, I think that technically puts Kevin M on a 2-episode executive
I was
streak.
going to say,
Yeah.
There you go, Kevin M.
Thank you. Next up, we got Sir Redbeard, Pirate King of the D-Moochers is back.
Yarr.
That's right.
Sir Redbeard.
Get that D-Moocher out of the bag there, Guns. And I will read Sir Redbeard's note here.
Okay.
The Pirate King is back, but boy, have I been a mooch lately. Sorry for the delayed funds, but as everyone knows, crazy year. Ha ha. Thank you very much.
We got to clean you up, Sir Redbeard. Yeah, demooch
That's
you.
right.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you
It's
very
nice to
much.
see these names back on the list.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Next up, we got executive producer Jacob B.
Jacob B.
Yeah.
Jacob B. Not a
comes
knight.
in with.
I feel like everybody's a
I feel
knight
like
and a dame
all
here.
of these people are. I know.
Crazy.
So excuse us if we got it wrong. Please email us and remind us if we missed your knight or damehood. Executive producer Jacob B comes in with 11111.
Ooh, it's like a 111. Yeah.
11.
And comes in with a note. Oh Lord, we plead the blood of Jesus for dear Malaya. Keep her safe, Father, in your mercy. Return her safely home to her family. Do not let harm come to her in the name of Yeshua. Amen. And amen and amen.
Yeah.
That prayer came true.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a
you
good
so
way
much,
to,
Jacob B.
That might even be one of the best ways to experience an executive producership, to actually know that your prayers
answered prayer
were answered. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Sir Stephen T, Seeker of Bits.
Hey, ooh,
yeah, comes in for 133. What 33?
What? It sounded like you said 133, like 133 cents with 100. Yeah,
I may have said that.
Okay.
133.33. And a note here: babysitting assistance fund. Sir Stephen, Seeker of
Yes,
Bits.
thank you. Very much appreciated. Oh, by the way, did we give Jacob B an executive producership?
I don't remember. Might as well give him another one.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, Sir Stephen T, Seeker of Bits, you as well.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you very much. And yep.
Next up, these ones are all nice round numbers with no notes. We've got executive producer Felicia D.
Thank you, Felicia D.
Mm-hmm.
No notes.
We've got executive producer Palmer C.
Palmer C. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Executive producer Ciara H.
Ciara H. Is that the old Ciara? Or is it a different
I
Ciara?
don't know. I think it's a different name. Could be the Ciara. Perhaps not. I'm not sure. Yeah. There you go. That concludes the list of financial executive producers today, which really was a huge blessing. Thank you guys so much. And keep a lookout in your email box for an email from canarychristsupply.com to get your information to receive your free shirt.
Let me make sure that Felicia D.
Where'd you find this?
Palmer C.
Where'd you find this?
And CRH.
Where'd you find this?
I don't think we've had this many executive producers.
Never.
In this segment.
I don't. Maybe we need to put this Clank, if you're listening. Can we write down somewhere today? We had 6, 7, 8, 9 executive producers. Holy moly. Yeah, let's write that down, because surely we will ask this question later. And Clank is the master of facts. Thank you very much.
Data spreadsheets and all.
Yeah. Okay, I think we need to keep going with the show.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to mention here?
I was just hoping for more executive producers, but
please.
No, it's been fantastic. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's. We got flippies. Let's do flippies.
Flippies.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. Time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and now there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update, I will read to you after I put on chapstick. This is coming from South China Morning Post. We've got some China Flippy here. Extreme heat caused by climate change. How do we protect our bodies against it? How? This $500,000 robot is helping scientists come up with solutions. How will we possibly survive the heat? We need a robot to tell us. And if you're watching the show, you'll see at the top of this article is some sort of strange mannequin-looking creature.
That's Andy. It's Andy. How dare you call him a well, he is kind of a mannequin creature robot, but he's our sweaty climate robot.
What happens to the body when a human gets heat stroke? How can we protect ourselves on a warming planet? Well, I can name a couple of things. Ice packs work very well. Umbrella, swimming pool, shade. Lemonade. To answer these burning questions, researchers in the U.S. state of Arizona have deployed a robot that can breathe, shiver, and sweat. Talk about replacing humans, okay?
Yep.
These robots are going to be experiencing weather for us. The southwestern state's capital, Phoenix, is currently enduring its longest heat wave in history. On July 21st, the mercury exceeded 43 degrees Celsius, 109 degrees Fahrenheit, for the 22nd day in a row. An ominous demonstration of what is to come in a world affected by climate change.
It's going to get
hot.
hot.
You know how it's hot? You know how it's hot in the summer, Gons? Well, it's going to be hot again in the summer. For humans, such heat represents a potentially lethal threat, one that is still not fully understood.
Wait, hold on.
I thought the article.
Yeah, I thought they fully understood this. They keep telling us that we need to give the government more money.
They seem to understand that we're all going to die. But for Andy, a one-of-a-kind humanoid robot at Arizona State University, it's a lovely day out. Quote, he's the world's first outdoor thermal mannequin that we can routinely take outside and measure how much heat he is receiving from the environment. Mechanical engineering professor Conrad Rakoswiski says.
Doesn't the thermometer do that? Why do we need a mannequin?
Nobody else in human history has put together an outdoor thermal mannequin. There's been indoor thermal mannequins. There's been outdoor non-thermal mannequins. But outdoor thermal mannequins. Now, here's the thing, folks. Listen up, because Andy is here to be more human than you. Andy is a, quote, very realistic way to experimentally measure how a human person responds to extreme climate without putting people themselves at risk. Why? We could not put a human at risk by putting them outside. At first glance, Andy, which stands for Advanced Newton Dynamic Instrument, resembles a simple crash test dummy, but its epoxy carbon fiber skin conceals a treasure trove of technology, such as a network of connected sensors that assess heat diffused through the body. Andy also has an internal cooling system and pores, allowing it to breathe and sweat.
How creepy is that?
Breathe and sweat. There are 35 independent thermal zones. And, like humans, the robot, which costs more than $500,000 to build. What is the University of Phoenix doing?
No, this is Arizona State. Arizona State. Yeah.
ASU had an extra $500,000 laying around.
First of all, they're the Sun Devils. So they're the devils.
A robot that sweats.
But also, ASU was one of the first universities to have a big transhuman, not just a class, but they had like a whole program that talked about transhumanism. And I remember early on, we quoted directly from their transhumanism page or whatever on ASU.edu. And so they've been on the cutting edge for a while. But also, yeah, I don't know. I think there's better ways to spend $500,000, but hey,
there's human feces lining the streets of San Francisco. There's tens of thousands of homeless in LA, and we're spending $500,000 to make a robot that sweats. Not just sweats, Gons, but like it says here, like humans, the robot, which costs more than $500,000 to build, sweats more from its back.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Until now, only a dozen or so mannequins of this type existed. And none of them could venture outdoors. These were inside mannequins. They were mainly used by sports equipment manufacturers to test their technical clothing in thermal chambers. Researchers hope that the robot will provide a better understanding of hypothermia or hyperthermia when a body overheats, a condition that is threatening a growing proportion of the world's population as a result of global warming. For obvious ethical reasons, nobody measures core temperature increase while somebody's getting heat stroke. I mean, it seems like a fine thing to do if somebody's getting heat stroke to measure their core temperature, but okay. But the effects of heat on the human body are still not fully comprehended. We do not comprehend how heat affects our bodies. And he gives researchers a chance to understand. Accompanied by Marty, spelt like a robot name, mean radiant temperature, a mobile weather station that measures the heat reflected by the buildings around it. The robot is taking its first steps outside Phoenix, an ideal laboratory in which to prepare for tomorrow's climate.
Outside in Phoenix. And yeah.
Outside in Phoenix. Phoenix is the ideal laboratory. Okay.
For tomorrow's climate. Yeah. The rising Phoenix, of course.
Quote, how do we change what we wear?
Huh?
How do we change our behavioral patterns and adjust them to temperatures that are of this order of magnitude? Gonzo, if we didn't have this sweaty robot, how would we know what to wear when it's warm outside?
How do we change
Obey,
what we
humans. Obey the sweaty robot.
How do we change what we wear?
How do we change what we wear if it were not for this?
Oh my gosh.
Sweaty boy.
Sweaty bot.
The research team can make digital twins of the mannequin to look at different segments of the population.
Racist.
That's racist. Okay. Yeah. For example, the older you get, the less you sweat. Young people will need different protection from athletes or people in poor health. With Andy, scientists can simulate the thermoregulatory mechanisms specific to each individual. Andy is all of us, Gons. You see the message being communicated.
I mean, okay, yeah.
You got to get the message. The message is that Andy is all. Andy is me. Andy is you. Andy is Grandpa, but not just all of us. He's the sweatiest version of all of us. And we will not survive the coming global boiling without this dripping robot. They can also test the robot in a variety of situations, etc., etc. You get it. If it's weather, Andy can be there and survive it and tell us more about ourselves than we even know. Now, here's the problem. So, climate change in general, the whole climate change conversation, part of the problem with it is that the data isn't great. Even the professionals, they admit, the data could be better, but the data we do have is very bad. In fact, in the past year, this actually came out last year, but it's been making the rounds again. Breitbart has here, garbage in, garbage out. 96% of NOAA temperature stations fail uncorrupted placement standards. And this is the story about, NOAA, what is it?
NOAA.
Yeah, it's the...
whatever, Observatory of, I can't remember the thing.
Whatever. It's the weather organization.
Yeah, the weather people.
It's the weather guys. Yeah.
National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. There you go.
Thank you. And they have sensors all over the world, all over the country at least. And it's all of these sensors that give them all of the data that tells them that the Earth is boiling and we're all going to die and we need to change everything, give all our money to WEF and eat bugs. Okay, that whole scientific community, their messaging around climate change is based on the sensors, mostly, of NOAA. And it came out that NOAA, by their own standards, are putting their thermometers in places that are corrupting their data. By their own protocols, they need to put their temperature gauger thingies outside in open areas, not have any asphalt or concrete to reflect, heat and things that would give them bad readings. 96% of the sensors, which means
most of the data.
96% of the data, almost all of the data is being corrupted by them putting them on runways, putting them on buildings where the heat is reflecting off of the asphalt, and they're just getting sort of universally high numbers. Because
they're rigging the
system.
They're rigging everything to make it seem like, if you're going to fool everybody to think that the world is getting hotter, you take all your temperatures next to a fire.
In the hottest places, right? Even in a cold place, you put your sensor on asphalt on a blacktop, and it's gonna read much higher than the actual temperature. So that's a problem that's going around right now. But what we have here with Andy is a sort of human replicant version of that, which is Andy is the tool. Part of the problem with the climate change, climate catastrophe messaging is, they're saying the earth is dying and boo-hoo, and people come in and they say, well, the earth goes through cycles. The earth eventually, the earth will be fine. The earth does its thing. It's people that are going to be hurting. And then they change their messaging to grandma won't make it to Thanksgiving because of climate change. Well, and now we've got Andy, where they could do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's a $500,000 lying machine. And, it's a matter of how it's used. Go put this crazy sweating mannequin wherever you want, and you can come up with whatever data you want. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot about Andy. And because of the corruption of the data, of the sort of the NOAA sensors and things like this, it's always been a pushback from climate change skeptics that hey, your data just isn't great. Can we please address this? The scientists say, no, you cannot, you fascist. But now, instead of hey, maybe our data wasn't great, but now we have Andy, who is a human being. He's a person. And Andy tells us that grandma's going to die. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of a shift entirely of how and what data is being presented to support global boiling. And it's all Andy's fault. And another example of how the robots not only are here to replace us, but more importantly, here to sweat for us. Okay, Gons? No longer will you need the sweat of your brow to sustain you in this economy. Let the robots sweat for you, and it will all be okay. Obey, obey, obey.
So no more blood, sweat, and tears. At least no more sweat. So we still have the blood and tears. Maybe by the end, we're just left with tears. We don't even have blood.
Yeah, it's just tears.
Yeah.
And someday when Andy can cry, when the earth is fine and it didn't explode into a fiery ball of mess, or maybe the earth is exploding into a fiery ball of mess, and it's because Jesus came back, and Andy is left there in the wreckage. A single tear will fall from his eye, and there will be no salvation for you, Andy.
I will say that the part that got me was the fact that they made a robot that breathes, which I know they've kind of had stuff like that before. Right. But if you go to Revelation 13, verse 15 here, it talks about the second beast and how it gives breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. So, in order to speak, the first thing you need is breath. So we're well on our way, folks. It's all kind of coming together in the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Andy is a beast.
Andy.
Don't trust Andy.
Yeah.
With an I.
That's your Flippy update for the day. Why don't we stay on just a quick little climate bonanza here for just a second.
Climate change.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about climate change and sort of it's been ramping up, all the fear-mongering in the mainstream.
Oh, it's the same as always. But this was great. Always, yeah. I think this is a shift. So part of what we've been lucky enough to get pretty good at over the years is identifying the propaganda, specifically like the phrases that were obviously made up in a marketing meeting that take over. One of the more recent versions of this was Putin's price hike. Whoa. Where, you just hear these things and you go, oh, geez, that's just all I'm going to hear for the next, 6 months or something. And the second I saw this clip, I'm like, yep, that's it. That's the one. That's the new thing. Before a bunch of other podcasts did. So what are you going to do? But here we go. Let's play this clip from What's-His-Face.
And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. The era of global warming has ended, the era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead.
Global boiling.
There you go. That is the UN chief claiming that global warming is over and global boiling has begun. And it's more terrifying than it's ever been. This is, they really, I didn't actually, I want to go back to something you said just to recognize it. I mean, there has been a severe hockey stick increase in the language being used when it comes to global warming, climate change, whatever they want to call it now. But global boiling, that is the term. That's the new one. We're going to see it everywhere. And in fact, we did. Mostly reporting on this guy, but it's already starting to catch on.
Well, I think it's hilarious that we always talked about the New World Order and the takeover as sort of a frog in a kettle. You know, you're sitting in the kettle. The frog has no idea it's getting boiled. And now we have the UN chief literally saying, we're in global boiling. It's like a, a joke. It's like making fun of everybody. Like, haha, we're at the point now where you can't do anything, frog. You're stuck.
I think
in the kettle.
That's exactly what they're trying to communicate, which is, oh, we told you and you didn't pay attention. You were the frog in the boiling pot and it's boiling. It's too late. That's what they're kind of trying to say is you ignored it and it's too late. I don't know who the you is in this thing, but it really is kind of stepping up the stakes. I think that's what it is. It's ramping up the stakes. It's nope, we've been telling you and you didn't do it. I don't know why it's like our fault, but okay. You're not just global warming now. You're the frog. You ignored it. Now it's global boiling. Like as if the whole world hasn't been absolutely obsessed with climate change for the past coming up on 10 years now.
10 years
at least
in this iteration. Of course, you know, it's been happening. The propaganda has been spinning since like the 40s and 50s. So
totally.
Post World War II, they jumped on that climate thing right from the get-go. I am curious. I was curious about what animals on Earth, known animals, can withstand extreme heat, because I think there could be some, I don't know if it's going to be called a vaccine or some genetic therapy or whatever it might be, that we're going to have to take. It's going to be a mandate. If we want to survive the global boiling, you're going to have to change your genetics a little bit. Don't worry, we're not changing who you are. We're just upgrading you a little bit, right? And
get some mRNA and watch this subliminal video on YouTube.
And I just pulled up a list of potential creatures on Earth who have adapted to extreme heat conditions. And there are a few of them here: the Saharan silver ants, the Pompeii worms, camels, Thermus aquaticus. But one of them is tardigrades, Basil. And that might speak right into one of our theories about the whole wormicorn thing, but also the tardigrades. They shot them into space. They're on the moon. I mean, they're allegedly all those things. So yeah, perhaps the tardigrade genetics being introduced into the human genome is not far from becoming a reality. It sounds kind of crazy, but we said a lot of things 10 years ago that sounded crazy that came to be. So I can picture this happening. We can have like a Fauci fella. You know, it won't be Fauci. Maybe it is Fauci. I don't know. Maybe he's turned into an Asian woman by that point, but it'll be female Fauci, Fumika, and she will ask everybody to take the shot and upgrade yourself. These tardigrade genetics will help us survive the extreme climate or global boiling that is ensuing and boiling us all. So, yeah, and the headlines here, we just had a bunch of headlines listed for the show notes. This one from Yahoo Finance, mirroring fortune. Climate change is killing summer traditions like vacationing and going outside. Extreme temperatures may be here to stay. Oh, it's destroying traditions like going outside, Basil. It's all over. It's ending. So there's that. Then there's Mashablehere.com. Why extreme heat brings worse mental health and what you can do about it.
Maybe Andy is going to help us with
Andy's going to help us, but also if we're talking about mental health, we got VR mental health. We got all the entheogens that people can take in a nice air-conditioned room, to escape from the global boiling. Then we have RAL.com, WRAL.com. Duke docs explain effects of extreme heat on the body, community, climate. That was a great Duke University.
What?
Duke University professor talking about how extreme heat affects the body, community, and climate. He must know a thing or two about Andy. And of course, the CDC.gov released a PDF a few months ago. Extreme heat can impact our health in many ways, and very similar to sort of a preamble to COVID. We have a two-page PDF talking about what happens when there's a heat wave when it gets hot.
Oh,
CDC has to tell us what to do. But I think my favorite here, and this is sort of climate change adjacent, but it's still related to what we're talking about. This is coming from, Bloomberg. And the headline, Bank to Limit Carbon Accounting and Stock Bond Sales, Reuters. And it just says here, banks working on global carbon accounting standards for the finance industry. So these are banks working on a standard. Anytime somebody's working on a standard, they want to control that market or that product or that whatever that is. In this case, global carbon accounting standards for the finance industry seeks to exclude most emissions related to stock and bond underwriting from their own footprint, Reuters reported. So just hilarious that the banks who are trying to create the standard are like, the we're not going to report all of our things because it won't look good as the ones setting the standard. So let's just omit some of the less favorable pieces of information about our own global carbon.
It parallels beautifully how the data on climate change is handled in the first place.
Yeah.
It's cherry-picked data. It's corrupted data. It's, data before hypothesis is just outside of the scientific method. It has a pre-decided outcome, and then the data is used to fit that outcome. And the same is with the ESG financial movement. We'll just kind of make the rules so it looks like we're good and doing our part, and we'll force it on everybody else.
It's unbelievable. And speaking of which, let's continue on here because it only gets crazier from here. And of course, it has to do with COVID. It's a little bit more than that, but let's start there.
COVID-19, 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 COVID-19.
Coronavirus. All right. This story comes from Ars Technica. And the headline here. Officials bust illegal lab containing 20 infectious agents, hundreds of lab mice. Quote, I've never seen anything like this. It's happening. Remember I talked about the future, the emergent phenomena being the epoch of futurism fulfilled. This is part of it. Biolabs in this way have always been sort of a thing that has been in movies and stuff, but here we are. Local and federal authorities have shut down what seems to be an illegal medical lab hidden in a California warehouse that contained nearly 1,000 laboratory mice, hundreds of unknown chemicals, refrigerators and freezers, vials of biohazardous materials, including blood, incubators, and at least 20 infectious agents, including SARS-CoV-2, HIV, and a herpes virus. According to NBC News affiliate KSEE, of Fresno, local authorities were first listen to this. Local authorities were first tipped off to the unlicensed facility when a local code enforcement officer noticed that a garden hose was illegally attached to the back of the building. Can you get a more mundane? And I'm glad the guy's doing his job.
Code enforcers, man. They're a special breed. They are a special breed of person that can see a hose and uncover a secret Chinese biolab.
Which makes me think the whole thing is kind of nonsense.
Yeah, it is a little weird, isn't it?
Come on. Okay. The led city officials to obtain a search warrant. Oh, that led cities. I'm sorry. Let me start over. That led officials to obtain a search warrant to inspect the warehouse, which was supposed to only be used for storage. According to court documents obtained by NBC News, city officials inspected the warehouse located in Reedley, southeast of Fresno on March 3rd. So this is a few months ago. County health officials then inspected the facility on March 16th. What they found reportedly shocked them. Quote, "This is an unusual situation. I've been in government for 25 years. I've never seen anything like this," end quote. Reedley City Manager Nicole Zieba told KSEE. There were rooms with, quote, "vessels of liquid and various apparatus," court documents said. Quote, Fresno County Public Health staff also observed blood, tissue, and other bodily fluid samples and serums and thousands of vials of unlabeled fluids and suspected biological material, end quote. There was also a room full of mice. I just want to note, before we move on, I do want to note that the timing of this all comes right about the time, I think it was July 28th when this article was published, but it all comes right around the time that we had those UFO hearings and Grush came out and said that we talked about it last episode about the non-human biologic. You know, it's just interesting how non-human biologic becomes this term that everyone is calling aliens. And then we have the story about a lab with all kinds of interesting biologic materials. According to the according to the court documents, the mice were kept in inhumane conditions. More than 175 were found dead, and the city took possession of the remaining animals in April and euthanized 773 of them. 773. Interesting. Substances collected from the lab were given to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for testing. To me, that says the CDC had a hand in this somehow. I don't know how. I don't have any proof. I am just looking at patterns from history. And maybe the CDC had something to do with... Because how does the CDC not know about a biolab? Any biolab?
Well, this is obviously an illegal secret biolab. And isn't it connected to the Chinese? Isn't it?
We'll keep reading here. The agency detected at least 20 potentially infectious agents, the document read. Assistant Director of the Fresno County Department of Public Health, Joe Prado, said that all the biological agents had been destroyed as of July 7th. Although officials were still working on removing equipment from the warehouse, Zieba said that there is, quote, "nothing hazardous at this point," end quote. A criminal investigation is ongoing. The tenant of the warehouse is listed as Prestige Biotech. Prado told KSEE that the company's president, Jinqin Yao, was not forthcoming with information. According to the court documents, Yao told officials that his company had moved assets belonging to a defunct company called Universal Meditech Inc., UMI, to the Reedley warehouse from another Fresno location where UMI had operated before it was evicted. Prestige was identified as a creditor to UMI, but Prestige allegedly failed to provide any licensing or permit that would explain the laboratory activity at the warehouse. So, I mean, sure, Chinese guy. Maybe it's connected to China directly. We don't know yet.
Well, they all are. If it's a Chinese company operating in the U.S., they have a CCP office in their headquarters.
I don't know if it's...
What's that?
I don't know if it's directly CCP, but continue with your thought here.
Well, every Chinese company is a CCP company.
Sure.
But, this is pretty I can definitely see a psyop opportunity here, as we kind of saw the Chinese secret police stations as a psyop opportunity as well. I mean, the fact that there's so little details coming out about this, and it's simply, ooh, scary lab, dead mice, bunch of bad stuff. They were making, well, they apparently a lot of this was being used to create COVID tests and pregnancy tests and all sort of stuff like this. But it was sort of a grungy, secret, scary zone. I mean, it is a terrifying prospect that there could be more than much, one secret Chinese biolab, much less, there's every sort of defunct warehouse could be harboring something like this. It's a very powerful psyop as we move closer and closer to, more issues with China. And right in the midst of the, source of COVID conversation in the mainstream. Right.
Well, apparently their Prestige Biotech is specifically a Singapore company. So, yeah, there's...
Mm-hmm. What is that, Korea?
No, Singapore is its own.
Oh, Singapore is its own country?
Like Singapore, yeah.
Oh, Singapore. Okay. Yeah, okay.
That's what it says. Singapore.
Sure.
The Republic of Singapore. Which of course it is under Chinese. I don't know if it's under Chinese rule, but it's definitely.
I'm going to find out.
Yeah, I know they're obviously very close to China there, so it's possible that it's one of the kind of proxy situations that we see out here in the West. So there you go. That's the story. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I mean, I would like to know what Gavin Newsom thinks about that. If he knew anything of this prior, just for my Californians out there. I'm sure
it's pretty rare that you find a secret laboratory that's not making drugs if you're in California. Yeah, usually a setup like that will be more of a, crack type of situation. These guys are just trying to make underground dark web illegal COVID tests, Gons. What's the problem?
COVID tests and HIV and herpes? At least those are the only things they told us that they had. 20 infectious agents, which include SARS-CoV-2, HIV, and herpes. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I think the garden hose, there's something there. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll have to sleep on it for a few days, but I think there's a messaging going on with the garden hose.
Okay. That's fair. Well, let's talk about Russia and Afrofuturism for a moment.
Oh, fun. Do we need to talk about Russia?
Of course.
Okay. Where's my Russia jingle? Where are my Russians at?
It's the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. Well, is it wars? Yeah, it is.
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Russia, Russia, Russia. What shall we do?
Okay, I just wanted to point out and break down just a little bit some pretty strange things happening in the world. And number one, a few weeks ago, it was all over the news. It's a big deal. Most important thing in the world. Putin pulls out of the grain deal. The grain deal, Gons. What else could possibly be more important? This was mid-July, July 17th here in the New York Times. The Kremlin terminated an agreement that had allowed Ukraine to export its grain by sea despite a wartime blockade, a deal seen as essential to keeping global food prices stable. We saw headlines about this. We didn't talk too much about it on the show because it was boring. More or less, there's a sort of a deal going on with the West and Russia about allowing Ukraine to export grain, which is one of Ukraine's biggest exports. It's the breadbasket of the West or whatever, breadbasket of the world. Lots of wheat, things like this in Ukraine. And the idea was we got to let Ukraine ship out their grain or the world will starve and everybody will die, specifically in sort of third world countries. Now, the details of this grain deal are pretty complicated and kind of boring, but the the long and short of it is Russia agreed, okay, we'll let your grain shipments leave, and then the West had Russia. And as it is told by Putin, Russia was letting the grain go, and the West never held up their end of the deal. And it's not so much that Russia terminated the grain deal, it's that the grain deal had an end date, and he did not renew the grain deal.
Sure.
But of course, in the West, Putin's the devil. He terminated it and wants to starve out the world. And this kind of storyline kind of picked up, for a while there. There's a lot of headlines about Putin is killing Africans. Putin doesn't care about poorer nations. Putin is intentionally starving out the world to punish Ukraine, things like this. And then Putin came out with a couple of videos, kind of, at least in Russian propagandistic terms, telling the world what was actually going on with the grain deal. And in response to all this bad press, Putin pledges free grain shipments for African allies. We see Putin getting even more cozy with his African allies. Now, you'll remember, we've been following Russia's connections with Africa in the sort of Afrofuturism propaganda. You've basically got the US, Russia, and China all battling it out for control of Africa, not only for, natural resources, oil, gold, agriculture, things like that, but also human resources. In Africa, it's something like the average birth rate is 7 children per woman. So as we move into the declining population of these Western nations, and China having a huge problem with decline of population, pretty much the entire world except for maybe Southern Asia and Africa are having problems with population. South America might be in there too. So lots of resources, lots of future-oriented strategery going on here. And so in the hailstorm of criticism about Putin pulling out of the grain deal, he comes out and says, hey, no big deal. I'll just ship my own grain. It says here, Russian President Vladimir Putin pledged to ship food and provide more security assistance to a swath of African nations after his move to end a deal safeguarding the export of Ukrainian grain, rattling nerves in many of the continent's most vulnerable nations. And so not only is he sending grain, he's also canceling debts, something like $23 million or $23 billion worth of grain-based debts to Russia. And so he's really doing Africa a pretty big favor. One might kind of read it.
Providing an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, sure. Canceling $23 billion in debts, sending free food. That's it's more than the U.S. is doing. You can say that. And then during this time, now I do want to remind everybody that it was reported and continues to be the case, it seems, Ukrainian weapons, the weapons that the West is sending to Ukraine, there's kind of a strange accounting error where somehow lots of the weapons we are sending to Ukraine are ending up in Africa. There's some arms diversion there. And you had huge amounts of the weapons that we are sending to the Ukraine and the West in general sending to the Ukraine. A lot of it wasn't making it to the front lines. You remember the CBS report that got pulled talking about how, hey, this is a big problem. Tons of these guns and weapons are not actually making it to the battle. They are disappearing. Turns out a lot of them going to Africa. And then whoop-de-doo, suddenly there's the coup. The coup guns. No, not January 6th, but there was a coup in Niger. And this was the talk of the town over the weekend, where a military junta took over the government in Niger. And I saw these headlines and I said, that's interesting. Why is everybody making such a big deal about Niger? There's coups happening in Africa all the time. Why is the mainstream caring so much about this Nigerian? Not Nigerian, Nigerian, two different places. I know, confused me too. And CNN had this beautiful headline: pro-coup protesters in Niger shout, "Long live Putin," as new leaders face calls to cede power. Woo! Long live Putin being chanted across Niger after this military coup. And of course, you could have guessed it, the guy who was ousted from power was put into power by the US. So you really have here sort of Russia making serious plays all across Africa, making a lot of headway. And who knows if Putin, asked for a Nigerian coup or not, but it is a little strange. Now, this article in Modern Diplomacy, Weapons from Ukraine's War Now Coming to Africa, this was from last year when we kind of first learned about the weapons going to Africa, but it specifically tracked the Ukrainian, Western, Russian, whatever, weapons going to the Lake Chad Basin region, which is in Chad. Lake Chad region, an economically and socially integrated area in West and Central Africa, straddling Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. So they got a bunch of cool weapons from the U.S., seemingly used those weapons to kick out the power structure that the U.S. had put in, and started chanting, "Long live Putin." Things are going pretty well in Africa for Putin. And to sort of top it all off, to make it even more confusing about what's going on in the world right now, Reuters came out with an article that throws kind of a monkey wrench into the idea that the U.S.'s weapons are what is supporting Ukraine to hold off the Russians. Reuters has a headline here: Ukraine uses North Korean rockets to blast Russian forces.
What about our weapons? I thought American, we've been sending billions in weapons. What are they doing with all that?
Isn't it weird? Apparently they're sending our weapons to Africa so that pro-Putin military junta rebels can take over Africa for Putin. I don't know why Ukraine would be so invested in that, but okay. And then suddenly are found using North Korean weapons. North Korea, famously, friends with Russia. And so there is such a mind-bogglingly twisted and complex series of events over the weekend that any normal cognitively normal person can see.
We differentiate between normies. So when you say normal, you got to be
typical. I'll say cognitively typical person looking at the situation. If you're able to see this, 5 or 6 different trends in the articles, put them all together, it seems like perhaps, and I know this is a wild thing to say, Gons, and perhaps I will be lambasted for being unpatriotic, but it seems like all the money and weapons we're sending to Ukraine has literally nothing to do with what's going on in Ukraine. And if the Ukrainians are not using our weapons and sending them to Africa, and instead using North Korean rockets from the friend of their enemy. Now, they tried to say that some Ukrainians, stole these North Korean weapons from some Russians that they had killed. But the numbers of these weapons just don't make any sense. Then they tried to say that, like, yes, well, North Korea had sent them to Ukraine long ago. They've always had North Korea weapons. Sure, fine. But we do know that North Korea has been sending arms to Russia for the Russians. And it seems like maybe they're sharing. In the spirit of sportsmanship. There's a little bit of a twisted situation with all this aid to this I don't know, conflict zone.
I just want to mention how the theater of it all is so revealing,
it's so excruciatingly theatrical.
I picture, when you have as a tech person, I've done plays, where you have to go. It's usually at a high school or something, but you have like 30 different lav mics and instrument mics, and you got all this kind of stuff. And usually the school doesn't have all that gear. So you got to go rent it from a rental place, like a music place that you rent stuff at. And I don't know why I thought of that analogy, but that's what it seems like, where you have kind of Ukraine acting as sort of like, hey, we need these tools. But then once they get the tools, they're deploying it to other places, and it's like, we need more weapons, so they got to go go to North. Whoever can supply it, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a good guy, bad guy. But the whole process just seems like you have the United States military-industrial complex being sort of the music store. We have all the weapons. Sure, it's gone through some hands or whatever, but we've got everything you need, and maybe and Zelensky gets all the weapons, deployed to Africa, whatever. And then so now, the military-industrial complex is like, well, we got some stuff in North Korea that we're not supposed to tell you about, but hey, you can go talk to Kim Jong-un. Maybe he's got some stuff for you. I mean, the whole thing is just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody is sort of in on creating the theater. I mean, think about the grain deal and the grain shipments out of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any evidence of this, but it seems like maybe there was a little bit of lead mixed in with that grain getting shipped to Africa. I mean, the whole grain deal thing seems like it was an opportunity for everybody involved, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, the West. It seems everybody had a deal where we were going to pack up, sure, maybe a little bit of grain, but throw some grenades in there and some guns and some rockets and just kind of pack it in with the wheat and send it down to Africa because things are about to pop off.
What are those things? Mystery boxes? Is that what they got? Little
Yeah. It's like a loot box.
Loot box. That's right. Yeah,
exactly. I don't know, man. It is just so strange. I don't have like a overarching theory about exactly what's going on, but somebody out there with some better sort of journalistic resources, I'm sure someday it will come out that there's, some cooperation that through, I mean, you talk about the money laundering aspect of Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest aspects of the whole thing.
Didn't Sam Bankman-Fried, all of his financial contributions, the charges that were brought upon, he's got a bunch of charges, but one of them was campaign financing. All that was dropped. I think it was like 90 million.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was all dropped. So all that money he gave and laundered, basically part of it through Ukraine. It's okay as long as it goes to politicians,
Oh crypto. Yeah, no, I mean it's the money laundering opportunity of the century.
Yeah,
and if the U.S. wanted to help something happen in Africa, they couldn't be caught sending weapons directly to Africa or whatever. The way to do it would be to send to Ukraine, make a deal so Ukraine can send it to Africa. And then all this crazy stuff starts happening. So I don't know. A lot more is going to happen in Africa. If you've been following our sort of Afrofuturism trend, Africa is the biggest deal. Ukraine is not the biggest deal. In the future of the species, or at least this version of our civilization, Africa is the most important thing in the coming decades. And we cannot be caught dead sending weapons directly to Africa. That's not very woke of us to do, encouraging violence on the most violent continent in the world. But this is a great way to do it. And you know what? If North Korea wants to help cover the missing weapons in Ukraine, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, I just love that it all results in a nation full of Africans screaming "Long live Putin." That in itself
Putin.
Is the PSYOP of the century. Maybe they get the award in the the PSYOP awards. They got a whole country to scream "Long live Putin." Well done.
If you were some sort of interdimensional being, or perhaps just when we get to the sweet by and by and we get to watch, world history play out with all of our answers, or with all of our questions answered, watching the intricacy of how this operation is unfolding before our eyes under the cover of darkness might be the most interesting revelation that we could get when it comes to human affairs.
Sure.
And just to throw on top of it here, ABC reporting, U.S. announces historic $345 million military aid package for Taiwan. 345. Yeah. So we are now doing the same thing, sending, about $333 billion worth of military aid over to Taiwan. We got to get that ready. We got to build it up for 2027. Somebody in the chat, Tony, said they were listening live from Taiwan, listening to the show right now. Yeah.
Hey, you getting the mystery box over there in Taiwan. Yeah, U.S. sending $345 million worth of goodies. You never know what you're going to get. Make sure you get in line.
Yeah, it does beg the question, what are we going to have left after we send all this to Ukraine and now Taiwan? Because this is coming from American stockpiles.
Yeah, we got the lasers, man. I think the U.S. has lasers, and they're just like, this old artillery, we're done with that.
We probably got UFOs. That might be connected with all this UFO stuff.
It's true.
The U.S. doesn't need all this kinetic warfare stuff anymore. The UFO fleet has been completed. It's time for breakaway
civilization. Yeah. Well, it is an angle, and it's possible that because all this alien talk right now that we covered it a little bit on the last episode, but it's a big topic, that the UFO hearing, and now everyone's saying aliens are confirmed, even though a lot of the narratives are kind of older narratives. But by saying aliens, it creates plausible deniability for the U.S. government if they have their technology cited by anybody, right? Like anytime that, you got some military people who see it or whatever, or just civilians start seeing more and more of the technology, the U.S. government can continue the cover-up by exposing or disclosing certain aspects of the apparatus. And they've been looking into UFOs, and they might have bodies and blah, blah, blah. And everybody gets focused on that, not the technology that the United States I'm sure once you get up the pyramid, the hierarchy, the nation states matter less. But of course, the U.S. assisted in creating that apparatus and building it in the last couple centuries. So, I feel like the technology's ready to go, and we don't need this old stuff. The stockpile is a great way. A stockpile of weapons is a great way to move things around geopolitically to stage whatever their great revealing agenda is, and whatever deployment of their crazy laser technology or whatever. Which again, I think they're using some directed energy weapon type of stuff to global boil.
Yeah, man, global boiling. Well, it's interesting too, because with the UFO folklore, the UFOs show up to kind of keep the peace, keep
the nuke
nations
thing,
from launching their nukes. They're hovering over Ukraine, observing the conflict, things like this. And if the U.S. had some sort of UFO fleet to the point where they were comfortable depleting stockpiles, sending out, starting as many conflicts as they want, giving away as many weapons, the weapons they don't need anymore because they've got the UFO fleet. And the America World Police trope would be best served with a bunch of American pilots flying around in UFOs, just sort of keeping tabs on all of the wars that the other countries are dealing with, just making sure everybody plays nice.
It makes sense in the progression, the United States being kind of like the world police over the last century, post-World War II. What's the next iteration of that? To provide, it's the Hegelian problem reaction solution, but create all this geopolitical tension and then become sort of the peacekeepers, the quote-unquote peacekeepers. Perhaps to stage the quote-unquote anti-Prince of Peace.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff, so maybe we should take a little break.
We shall break.
Okay.
And we shall thank.
Do we have? Do we have any voicemails?
We do.
Ooh.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on it. It'll open a little window that allows you to record an audio message of up to 90 seconds. Send it to us. Use it to just send a private message. If you do, make sure to tell us at the beginning of the message so that we don't accidentally play private information on air. Or you can do all kinds of things. You can leave a prayer. Thank you to Brenton, I think it's Brenton B, who did the prayer of today's episode. Thank you very much. I think it was the second time he's coming in with that, so appreciate that. And we also have something here today from Rochelle, which I remembered. We have a Rochelle jingle, do we not now?
Happy Friday, everyone. This is Psalm 1. Blessed are those who don't walk in step with the wicked. Blessed are those who stand in the way of the rejected. Blessed are those who delight in the Lord day and night, like a tree by the stream in the light, yielding fruit for those who do right. Cursed are those who the wind blows away like chaff. Cursed are those who he doesn't know, you'll never laugh. Cursed are those who can't stand up in assembly. Bless the one who keeps watch over me. Save a way for the well-watered tree. So, listen, you guys, have a great weekend. And, thank you so much for making a Rochelle bumper. That is so cool. I love this group.
Thank you very much, Rochelle.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. It's a good group.
And then, obviously, that message came in on Friday. Today's Monday, but that's okay. We're playing it now. And, yes, the Rochelle bumper is a fantastic addition to the producer segment. So thank you very much. Okay. You want to thank some producers coming in with their treasure?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's
do
it.
Like we mentioned, we're on the value for value model, which means if you get any value, maybe you don't, but if you do get any value from this show, you can put the value back in with your time, your talent, or your treasure. All sorts of ways to do it, but it really is it's just a different thing, man. This isn't CNN. This isn't Fox. This isn't. We don't have corporate sponsors who are keeping the show alive. It's only alive because people get value and put value back in one way or another. And there are producers, and we had some people come in. You know what? We had somebody join the Canary Cry T-shirt Council.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get that ready here.
Okay.
T-shirt Council.
Yeah.
So chill. Yes, the Canary Cry T-shirt Council, the secret society, maybe the most important, most secret-y society in the world, filled with the most noble, the most talented, the brightest, the best-looking members in the world, and they've devoted their talents and their life to maybe one of, if not the most important things they could do for humanity, and that is making the tough decisions for the Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt on a quarterly basis. And these are people who are committed to keeping this show going, putting value back in. Go to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com for more info. But if you have $19.84 for a month, then you can join the council. Not only keeping this show alive, but you will be in charge of making sure that the best T-shirts get created, which they did. They nailed it on the last one. And we have a new member, most important person in the world, Kevin LK.
Kevin LK, thank you very much. Ooh, where's my magical sounds? Kevin LK.
No.
Where are they? Magical sounds. There they are. There's Kevin LK.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to just mention real quick, because we had some emails recently on the supply drop. The supply drop, it is still moving. It's still on the way. It is not out yet. You have not missed it. It did not get sent to the wrong address or anything. Because of my time in the hospital, things have gotten sent back, manufacturing, getting everything ready. We're just a little bit late sending that out, but it is still on the way. So thank you guys for your concern, your consistency, and your value getting put back into the show. Okay, with that, we've got a couple of people who came in to support this show financially. Let's thank them now, starting with Malik W.
Malik W., thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Malik. Good to see you on the list. Nice round number, no note. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Then we have Sir Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Berean Protocol came in for a pocket full of sevens. 198 episodes in a row.
198. I'm having a little bit of a crisis over here, just so you're aware of it. So I had a little
crisis.
Yeah, not that bad, but my browser went a little wackadoodle. So
oopsies.
Okay. Yeah, it all closed on me. But this is for Malik W's streak. What was it again?
No, there's no streak on Malik. It's streak on Alex Protocol.
Oh, Alex Protocol. Sorry.
198.
198. Yeah. Here we go. He's close to the Streakalicious, which is 201. So there you go.
Indeed. Next up, we got Sir Morv, Night of the Burning Chariots. Came in a couple times. Oh, by the way, Alex Protocol came in for Friday's episode as well. Sir Morv came in for both. 777 on one, 333 on another. 259 episodes in a row.
Illuminatus! Oh, yeah! Streakalicious!
Streakalicious indeed. Thank you very much, Morv. David M. Producer David M. comes in. Nice round number. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David M.
Yeah, let me just check real quick to see if David M. sent a note. Don't think so. Nope. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Sir Marty K. Night of the Wrong Timeline.
Thank you, Sir Marty.
And Sir Marty K. Yeah. Sir Marty K came in for Friday's episode for 999 and today's episode for 3333.
Hey, I think
Illuminatus!
Technically his other producership, there was like a dad joke.
Yes, there's a couple things going on here.
Okay,
there's an email if you want to pick up the most recent email. But Sir Marty is 2 episodes in a row. Streak, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see. This is the one for Friday. It says, "Hey fellas, and my fellow Canarians. Here are some babysitter fond money and a dad joke." Thank you very much. Here's the dad joke.
Okay.
Or do you want to read it?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll do this one.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. This is from our Canary Cry Dutchman. Or, I always forget. No.
This is Sir Marty K. Out of the Wrong Timeline.
Yes, this is Sir Marty K., one of our Euro buddies. All right. What do you call an attractive Irish woman, Gons?
I don't know what.
A hot potato.
Hey!
I don't know if that's racist or not. Can you call Irish people potatoes? Is that?
My wife's half Irish. If I called her a potato, she would say, "Where are the potatoes? I want to eat them."
She would love it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind, folks.
I'll try that later.
Yes, you try calling your wife
a
hot
potato.
Report back. Yours truly, Marty K. Out of the Wrong Timeline. Thank you, Marty K. And he came in again. Do you have the most recent email?
I do. Yes, I'm prepared.
This
for
one
visual sort of thing going on with this one. Yeah.
Okay, if you're prepared, I'll just let you take it from here.
Oh, you want me to take it? Okay.
I can do it too. I don't know. Give me a second. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
This is the wrong one. Oh, geez. Here's the thing with Marty. He has a couple of emails is the problem.
He sends in different email addresses.
Yes. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
Hey, fellows and fellow Canarians. Here are a donation for the Babysitter Fund and a dad joke candidate. It is in 3 phases.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the warm-up line, show the picture, and then the punchline.
Yes.
You ready? Okay. What do the Brits like even more than their royal family? A cup of tea. And Sir Marty K has sent in a picture of a cup with a tea in it, a cutout paper tea in the cup. It seems to be sitting on some DJ equipment. I don't know if that's relevant.
It's definitely some DJ.
I don't know if that's a relevant detail. But I will tell you this, Sir Marty K. I feel about this whole production that you've created for us about the same way that I feel about all Gonza's dad jokes. And so in that way, this was a complete success. Do you have some insight into the dad joke here that perhaps I, a non-father of a human child, would be missing? Is there some secret dad code going on here?
A cup of tea.
Yeah.
With a cup of tea.
With a T.
With the letter T cut out with a piece of paper colored in red, white, blue. Right. Maybe there's an American thing going on. Or maybe or Brit, I guess. UK.
Yeah. Union Jack.
Also, red, white, blue.
So this is good.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any deep hidden layers to this one, but I do think
I'll say
visual,
this. As good as any other dad joke that's ever been on this show.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sir Marty K. Night of the Wrong Timeline.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We really appreciate all of you for coming in to support the show. We couldn't do it without you. We got a few people who came in under that amount. I'll run through them now, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 326 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Got Veronica D, 288 episodes in a row.
Veronica D.
Got Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 316 in a row.
Sir Scott, thank you.
Did we ever cut out Mission 316 by Carmen?
I don't remember. I just remember you dancing to it. Somebody was supposed to do it, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, we did it. We did it when Sir Casey hit 316, and here's Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, hitting 316, and we don't have a Carmen Mission 316 jingle. Timing is everything, folks. Thank you, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Mission 316. Burn. Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer of Lady of X's and O's, comes in, 288 in a row. And we have producer Warren H., who joined the Patreon. Thank you very much.
H., thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes the list of financial producers who came in, made the show possible. I will say this, actually, I'm going to give a quick shout to a last-minute executive producer who sent in some crypto.
Ooh, okay.
You got a crypto jingle laying around?
Laying around.
You know what?
Yeah, actually, I do. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Hold on. I'm going to save this for next episode because it's kind of a long note.
Okay.
And I want to give the executive producership what it deserves.
Okay.
So, producer Ricky, I got you. I got your note. I got your thing. You made the list for the t-shirt. Appreciate it. And we will thank you next episode.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Ricky the Crypto Chad.
Yeah, Ricky the Crypto Chad. Guns, it feels like today would have been a good time to move back to 2 separate breaks.
Yeah, you're right.
But here we are.
Let's thank some producers for their talent.
Okay.
Help us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk with your talent, whether it's audio, art, dance, craft, whatever it might be. We're going to start off with audio production.
Audio production.
This first one comes from Little Owen. And Little Owen did not leave a note. He just dropped this in as a John 14. And again, we're not going to play the whole thing here. We'll play the whole thing at the end of the show. Just to get a feel, here it is. To prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you. And I think we have the coolest producers who put scripture in such cool context. I love it. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Owen.
I love
play this entire thing at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. Next up, we have Lloyd V. Lloyd V has a note. Dear Basil and Gonzo requested a deep fake. Since he is a trained and dangerous samurai, and I value my life, have chosen to grant his wish. That's right. The deep fake features Hunter Biden singing his own theme song, Dust in a Baggie. My apologies for the video quality. I could not get it any higher than this. I hope you like it. God bless. Lloyd V. Lloyd V, your Hunter Biden deepfakes are always welcome on the show. Here we go.
It's got me back in prison once again. I used my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust in a baggie.
That is hilarious. And for those not watching the video, it's Hunter Biden is a bluegrass musician singing about using his phone call to call his daddy. Got 20 long years for dust in a baggie. Thank you very much.
Man, and there's a lot developing in the Hunter Biden situation today.
It just keeps
the guy
going.
who's going to be a whistleblower, and then they told him he needs to be arrested now over the weekend. I think he did testify today, and a bunch of stuff came out that Biden or Joe was in fact on 20 different calls.
Yeah, he was personally on 20 or so calls with business partners of Hunter.
The big guy getting his cut. So yeah. I mean, hey, I hope Democrats, and again, we're not a political show. We sort of criticize both sides here, but I hope Democrats that voted for Joe Biden, are happy that they voted for a corrupt man. Although I suppose every president is corrupt. Thank you very much, Lloyd V. Appreciate it. Always good to see deep fakes. Those are most fun for me. So thank you. Next, art.
One art, please.
Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
And this was featured on today's art as well, the episode art. But Sir Dove says here, piece for today's artwork. I did another thumbnail duo illustration with a cameo by the melting Lego man robot from the Carnegie Mellon Robotics Institute in my neighborhood. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. It's Dove.
God bless you, Dove, for reminding us exactly what the reference to the melting Lego man was. I remembered this time, but that's good. So, yes, there was a Flippy update one day where they created a Lego man who is a robot who could melt goo between jail bars and then reassemble on the other side, like the Terminator. What is that? Terminator 2, Terminator 1? I don't know.
2.
The one with the melty man. And so if you got the email today, you saw at the very top this beautiful piece of art is a scene from Terminator 2. In the background, we got the Lego policeman, the melty guy, running towards
Couldn't he get through, he can get through jail bars and stuff? He can just mold himself through anything?
Yeah, the real one?
Yeah.
The one they
the
were
actual Lego guy.
Yeah, the little Lego man could melt and then reassemble on the other side.
Right. Kind of like T-1000.
Super chill.
Right.
Super chill. Yes, but we also have Basil and Gons in Terminator form. You got the googly-eyed Canary on the left with the shotgun and the robot face, red eye Terminator thing. You get it.
Skin
and on
peeled.
the right,
yeah.
On the right, we got Gons, the Silver Surfer cop. Chasing after me. It's great.
T-1000.
Yeah, T-1000.
I'm wearing sunglasses. I got the name tag, got the Canary Cry badge there. There's a lot going on. Now, Basil, your gun, I believe, has some things written in it. I'm trying to...
Oh, let's see if I can get in there. I got it. 12 gauge.
Oh, 12.
It's a 12 gauge coyote hole puncher.
There you go.
Yes, of course it is.
There you go.
You got to keep it family friendly on the YouTube. It's a coyote hole puncher, everybody. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove.
Well done.
Okay.
I don't know what we would do without you, Sir Dove.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. I'm dead serious. Seriously.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Necrocapitalism, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
We got some microfiction.
Yeah, we do.
Microfiction.
Time.
Microfiction.
Is there one from Runk Smash that we missed from last episode?
Yes, there was an email that he actually sent in a.
Oh, he sent in a bunch.
He pulled
That's
a dove.
Right,
He
did
pulled
a
a dove
dove
and sent a bunch of
Dove,
them.
you continue to inspire other producers. Yes, Runk Smash batch sent in sent in a batch of microfictions. So
yes, and I'm pulling it up right now so we can get into it. I'm ready. At a desk in the central office of the replacement factory sits a heavily modified old man in a thick pair of dirty glasses. On his desk is a robot arm swirling a glass of sand. Taking the glass, he smells its bouquet before putting it to his lips.
wow, that's like an advertisement for our sommelier robots.
Yeah, a nice combination of the sommelier robot and Bill Gates, who loves to eat sand. We learned that. A huge fan of munching down on sand, has it shipped in from the Caribbean every year to his Washington estate.
That's based on a story that we did a couple episodes ago about how Bill Gates' property, Xanadu 2.0, his humongous property, has St. Lucia sand shipped to the property. And, we were kind of making fun.
Every year.
Yeah, every year. We were kind of having fun with the whole thing. There was somebody in the YouTube comments that was like really upset. They're like, what do you guys do? It's just sand. They were getting mad at us for coming up with this theory.
People don't get it, man.
That he was eating the sand. Yeah, I don't know.
People are they're still very caught up in like the gotta watch a YouTube video and get angry at somebody. They just can't laugh about Bill Gates eating sand. He loves this stuff, and he has a very refined palate that you wouldn't understand, okay? Take a breath, people, once in a while.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. Thank you to all the producers who came in. And if you'd like to send in art, go to canarycry.art, and you will see a place where you can submit art, whether that's images or files. I'm trying to actually pull it up. I used to have it up, but now that my browser is all messed up. Oh, wait, I spelled Canary Cry wrong. Canary, spell it right, folks. CANARYCRY.ART. Let's try that again. Boom, boom. Here we go. Art submission. That is the longest art submission pitch ever.
Oh, yeah, that was good. And don't we have one more?
Yeah, canarycry.report.
One more microfiction.
We have another microfiction?
We skipped one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm getting pressured to go from the wife here, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
understand.
And my bad. My bad, Stefan S. You know what? I feel horrible. Stefan S.
Okay.
Here we go. You ready?
Yep. Coach Schwab texts the doctor. Coach Schwab, your little friend in Kangunda is getting uppity. I need a little demonstration to put her in her place. Do you recall my startup launching weather balloons? We'll protect the climate over her population. Wink.
That was good timing on the wink.
There you go. Now you can go to. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you, Stefan.
Now you can go to. Yes, based on the story about. What is it?
It's the blocking sun story, the White House blocking sun from a few episodes.
The disclosure about chemtrails.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Now go to canarycry.art.
Canarycry.art to submit art. Yes. Canarycry.report if you want to send us an article to consider for the show. And I'm just putting it out there. There's some annoying things happening in the chat, and it's on purpose, and we're both doing a very good job not reacting to it. But I do have an itchy trigger finger, and I'm just saying right now, I'm about to start banning because it's not fun for me, and that's what matters. So I'm just saying it out loud so nobody can get mad when I start blasting and banning people for life. Okay.
Chat hole
That's
puncher.
that. Yeah. Let's wake up and finish out the show.
We got one more story here coming from the days of Noah.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
All right. This one is a story that comes from nature.com because nature is natural. Virgin birth.
For now.
Virgin birth genetically engineered into female animals for the first time. Good job. Good job, scientists. For the first time, scientists...
You know what? I didn't realize it before, but the way you read that, it did really put a lot of emphasis on the for the first time thing, which I don't know. The virgin birth for the first time messaging is a little poignant. Nature.
Yeah.
We get it. We get it, science folks.
We know what you're saying. Yeah, it's a say you don't believe in the virgin birth of Jesus without saying it. You know?
Yeah, right.
For the first time, scientists have used genetic engineering to trigger virgin birth in female animals that normally need a male partner to reproduce. Previously, scientists have generated young mice and frogs with no genetic input from a male parent, but those offspring were made by tinkering with egg cells in laboratory dishes rather than by giving female animals a capacity for virgin birth, also known as parthenogenesis. I've heard about parthenogenesis in conversations, atheists versus Christian type of conversations. Earlier research identified candidate genes for parthenogenesis, says study co-author Alexis Sperling, a developmental biologist at the University of Cambridge, UK. But her team, she says, not only pinpointed such genes, but also confirmed their function by activating them in another species. Now we got some cross-species work here.
Oh, no.
And here's the subheading here. No male needed. In mammals, offspring are produced when males of sperm. We know how it works, right, folks? We know how the male...
Yeah, we know how it works.
The birds and the bees. And then they just talk a little bit about identifying the genes that underlie parthenogenesis in certain animals, and then they moved it on over to some other animals. Less complicated than sex. Quote, parthenogenesis is the most effective way to reproduce.
Yes. Everything. If you're not just having virgin births, you're just inefficient, okay? All this rigmarole.
Continue the quote
procreating.
In animals, doing sex is very complicated, end quote, says Tanja Schwander, an evolutionary
Is this a Reddit
biologist.
Poster? Is this how?
No, this is a respected...
They wandered over from Reddit. It's like a meme. They're writing in memes now.
It's an evolutionary biologist at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland who has interviewed parthenogenesis or studied parthenogenesis in stick insects. Studying parthenogenesis, she says, helps biologists to understand the benefits and trade-offs associated with sexual reproduction. And then go into some more detail here, huh?
Doing sex is very complicated.
Doing sex
you
is
strange Swiss, you strange Swiss man. You gotta give it to them. It's complicated.
It is, especially if you're, I don't know. Maybe there's certain types that are, difficult to do the thing.
Sperling, it just keeps getting more complicated. I'll tell you what, it's not getting any simpler.
Sperling notes that some agricultural pests use parthenogenesis to multiply quickly, amplifying their power to damage crops. Oh, watch out for those version pests that are version-born pests that are going to ravish the meat industry in America. I think that's the plan here. This is a bunch of messianic pests are going to take down the meats.
Yeah, you get a bunch of flies in a bug factory, and you don't need, male and female. Just activate their insta replicate genes or whatever. That's money in the bank, baby. You can sell all those maggots to the old, protein bar store over there at Klaus Schwab University, and you'll make $1 billion.
You need bars in the cyber pandemic. In the UK,
doing sex is very complicated. In the new world order 2.0, no need.
Oh man, family friendly. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. In the UK, for example, a species of moth turned to parthenogenesis because of widespread use of pesticides that disrupt the male moth's reproduction. Now the moths have become a major pest, Sperling says. She hopes to study which policies and pest management strategies could trigger pests to rely on parthenogenesis, knowledge that could help to keep pests in check.
Yeah, I really do not understand the reason for any of this. What is the reason for this? They tried to just explain it to me, and they did a very bad job at it. I don't get it.
Well, I think one layer is...
It seems personal. I think these scientists are working through some personal issues in their interpersonal lives.
You know what it is? Tanja Schwander maybe was a Catholic. You know, maybe got something happened to them, you know, in the church, and they have a vendetta, something to prove, you know,
something to prove.
And they want to attack Christianity with science, and to do so, they're going to figure out how insects procreate virginally,
and also justify their own confusion about their relationship with the opposite sex. They don't know how to deal with it, and if you can sort of create some sort of abomination that justifies your personal feelings about the human reproductive process,
I'm going to throw a little.
You'll be labeled a hero.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a wrench in your whole thesis here, because Tanja Schwander.
Because Tanja
is a woman.
She knows. What? You don't think it would be complicated? It could be complicated.
I suppose so. Maybe.
She's a woman, so she gets it. No, that's why she's.
Maybe that's why it is complicated. You're right. Maybe that's why it's complicated.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's so difficult. It's so difficult to figure out sort of the reasoning for why they're doing this, but it does fit into the broader normalization of tinkering with human reproductivity. Because of course we've seen the synthetic wombs, synthetic eggs, now followed by synthetic sperm. Really no human even needed in the process if they didn't want to be. And I mean, it's so complicated. Why would you want to be? It feels like a scientific justification for moving into the Klaus Schwab, asexual reproduction for humans is like the most efficient way to run a society. I think this is propaganda. Feels like propaganda to me, although everything feels like propaganda to me.
Yeah. Well, one of the early Face Like the Sun blog posts, this is even before, or it might have been early in the YouTube channel, but I was publishing a lot of stuff on the blog at the beginning. And one of them, I outlined the quotes from a bunch of transhumanists. They were calling themselves transhumanists at the time. Ray Kurzweil was amongst them. And the question was pertaining to the future of sex. What is the future of sex going to be like? And I've brought it up before on various shows or, podcasts in the past or videos. But basically these guys were talking about how once we get our brains jacked into the thing, it's not about like a physical experience. We can have all of those things, the physical and emotional experience just being connected, and we can have it all the time.
The button.
Yeah. It's going to be like a permanent thing. And it won't just be with one person. It'll be, you can chain people together. One person, the most grotesque one, I got to find all these quotes. But basically they go, you know how you can daisy chain USBs? That's how it's going to be like. And it was like, oh, wow, these people are kind of disturbed. So, hey, it says right in the article there, no male, or was it man? No male needed.
Male. Yeah. Yeah, which is a message that keeps getting delivered over and over and over in different forms, different formats, and different outlets. Different from top to bottom. Mainstream media has been delivering that message for years, but to now be delivering it in such a literal way, scientific way, this feels like the culmination of a long strategy.
Well, I find it interesting that we are doing all this at the same time. Scientifically, there's sort of progress being made, but also from the cultural standpoint, they're mind controlling the youth to think that they can change their race. It's all kind of leading to a bad dystopian future.
Well, and why would gender assigned at birth even matter if it's not needed? If it has no intrinsic value, right. It all kind of flows together.
Yeah.
Guys, I do want to mention before we go here, the chat on screen is so ludicrously tiny. Was that on purpose? It's so small.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of hard to fit. I have a chat. We have the congregate chat. And we have
I see that. I wonder, do people actually like looking at the chat? That is something I would like to know.
I actually did research this a few days ago.
Looking at the
having chat
really?
on the screen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I volunteer as tribute. If we need to cover, the bottom half of me a little bit, I'm happy to sacrifice a little bit of my white shirt to have the chat bigger if people care about that. I slip further and further away from understanding what people on the internet want from me and this show day by day. So let us know. Send us an email.
Yep.
And with that, folks, thanks for tuning in to Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to be back on Wednesday. So make sure to tune in. Thank you to all the producers, whether you came in with your treasure or your talent, and now even your time. Let's thank those Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, I've been saying it a lot. It's going to get my attention soon, but we are going to expand the Clippy program soon. But thank you to all the Clippies. Go to Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. Subscribe to that channel. It's a doozy. It's good for you. And it wouldn't be possible without the timestampers.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Thank you to Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps for episode 649. These timestampers, they're great. They're doing it live a lot of times. They're watching the show. They're timestamping, doing work for us. Boom, it's done when we need it. It's amazing. And thank you to Jam for the links. Anybody else want to thank for articles?
Yeah, we got an article submission from... Where did my notes go here? I had it written down. Oh, what happened to it? It used to say... It doesn't say... Well, okay, hold on. Maybe I have it in the other spot here.
We got to start putting that on the list. I got it.
Here we go. The body language guy named Jesus. Thank you for sending in an article. It actually was a YouTube video about Mitch McConnell. The Mitch McConnell freeze. It was the green jacket lady. So yeah, thank you very much for that. That was
the old
prick,
the old syringe in the hand.
MK Ultra triggering. Yep.
Thank you to Clank for everything you do. And other than that, folks, share the show. Share it with your mom. Share it with your dad. Share it with your mom's dad and your dad's mom. And share it with all of those flies who just can't figure out the complexities of reproduction. And, you can share the show in the normal ways, like sitting your friend down, strapping them to a chair, and playing the podcast out loud while they squirm at the pain, the discomfort of waking up to the fact that the news media doesn't have their best interests in mind. But you could do it any other way, like a non-normal way. You can express yourselves in whatever way the Lord has empowered you with. One way you could do that, you got people changing their gender, you got people changing their race, you got people changing their species. Why don't you think about changing your mind? Whoa.
Repent.
Think about that for a while. Yeah. Change your mind, and then others will be so inspired that you were able to survive such a transition. You'll be lauded as a hero in public. People will say you're so brave, you're so beautiful, you changed something so culturally constructed as your mind. And they will be so inspired that you were able to overcome such oppression and such a hard life that's been given to you by changing your mind, that they will ask you, what gave you the courage to change your mind? And you can tell them it was Canary Cry News Talk, and then they'll do it because it'll be the cool thing to do. And make sure to give them lots of praise for doing so. That's just one way to do it. You don't got to do it that way. You can do it any way you want. But we call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons. Any last words?
Thank you for being here. We'll see you again on Wednesday. And I will have a retooled office, which won't affect anybody listening or watching, but it'll affect me. I'll hopefully be a happier person.
Yeah, and that will affect everything.
Oh,
so
sure.
That's very nice. Okay, there you go, folks. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Goodbye.
It will kill.
I love the Great Reset.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. Armageddon's on the way.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
This is the way. We're all gonna die. They love killing. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
It will kill.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... Gons. I am so hot. So hot.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
You little rat.
To
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
Canary cry, support.